Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to a special Sunday edition of Knights of the Last Call. I am joined by two special guests today. We've got, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bob, fresh from Bocce. What's up, Bob?
That's right.
And on the phone, on the call, we've got Tim, who's still getting set up. He's in transit right now. He's moving. He's got to reset up his home streaming setup, but we got him on the call.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So why are we here? Well, as you know, if you're a Knights of Last Call a friend of the show, sometimes we do a Sunday. Well, technically, we used to call it's a super secret Sunday system stream where we will sometimes just have a stream. But this one was a little different because we were doing a super secret Sunday system stream last week, and Armored Anathema showed up. And dropped
that person in the Patreon?
And dropped a massive chat, a massive tip.
Oh, I know they're in the chat right now.
And as a result, was like, look, I'm not above bribery. And there we go. And as a result, I was like, well, I mean, if you're going to tip $100, I mean, look, and I said this before too. No, okay, listen, no, I'm not above bribery, but what is more important or what to consider is that when we do these first looks, okay, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here, but my ear is pretty well and fully to the ground when it comes to RPGs. So most of these first looks I've heard of, I've looked through them, I might own it, and I've just never opened it. I know people who are actively playing it or whatever. So I know the gist of it. We did a first look for Call of Cthulhu. It's not like I was like, what the fuck is Call of Cthulhu, right? I had never heard of this ever. So without any, look, it was Sunday night. I was like, feeling like kind of YOLO. Plus it was last week, so we had off Monday, right? Because of Memorial Day. So I was like, yeah, let's go. 100, yeah, we'll do it. I had no idea. So afterwards, they're like, I think Derek's doing an anime role-playing game series. I was like, oh shit. So I called, I got out to Bob and Tim, who are the resident anime weebs. Is that the right term?
Yeah, that you know.
Yes.
Yeah, that I know. Yes. Well, Bob,
our channel's filled with them.
I mean, Bob, if you're here though, like Tim is here.
Oh, yeah, Tim's above me.
Yeah, okay.
There's a reason I'm off camera and he's on it.
That's right. We don't want that kind of embarrassment flooding through our system.
That's right. You don't need full weeb on camera.
Exactly. So, but in any case, so we were here today to talk about the Valor system, the heroic role play system. Which, all right, now, okay, I am going to try to do a couple of things here. Number one, I'm going to try to stay open-minded. But number two, this is just a precursor. In my experience, again, I'm not trying to flex on them. If I haven't heard of a role-playing game system, it's usually because it's some really off-the-wall, like, heartbreaker that is needlessly complex or hopelessly just a complete, total ripoff of basically D20. And it's just that, again, it's the classic fantasy heartbreaker, right, that someone made. So I'm going to try to keep my nitpicking to a minimum, but what I'm going to say is, it's me, it's Bob, it's Tim. We're gonna, take a piss a little bit, with the system. I'm sure if there's something that we think is kind of funny or bad or weird, but don't take that as like an insult to the people who made this game. It may be a very good game. It's just a first look. It's not a review. We haven't played it. So that's sort of a precursor. Real quick, just some quick shout outs. Solana is in chat. Hello. Good evening, Solana. Trekkie is here as well. Alia is here. We got some people I haven't seen in a while. Vinny Derg is here. Isaiah is enjoying the chill beats in the pre-stream. London is here. What's up, good people? The Pumpkin himself is showed up.
Pumpkin only came out because you said anime was on the table.
Yeah. Exactly. KC says the last time I wrote off an anime-esque RPG, it ended up being one of my all-time favorites, Fabula Ultima.
So it's pretty good.
So I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. We got C-Cal is in the chat, mind blown as well. Quest friend, hello and howdy to you as well. KTube 2014, Armored Anathema giving himself a round of applause. Derek is here. I'm up for bribery, but I'm not cheap. Derek, 2024. That's accurate.
I mean, I'm the one that's usually up for the bribing. Like,
oh, you are the
huge sellout.
You're huge sellout. Huge sellout. Okay, we got Full Metal Dragon in the chat, a longtime friend of the show. Ooh, Valor, nice. I used to own this RPG. That's really instilling me with a lot of confidence. Inspired from D&D 4E. Very customizable. C-Cal says, if the game is bad, it's bad. Being anime by itself does not make something beyond criticism. Agree or disagree? Tim, Bob.
100%. Absolutely. There's tons of terrible anime out there for as much as I love the genre, you know? It's not all good. And people who get in on the bad stuff, what are you going to do?
But I will say, what Pumpkin said in the chat is kind of my thing. Like, when I want to play a system that's anime, it better be like over the top. Like, I like it extra. Like, it has to be extra on a lot of levels. I want running up swords.
You know, a lot of that can come from, the narrative, right? Because I think Eminem could do a over-the-top anime pretty easily if you themed it right, just at the table. So, but yeah, I'm with you. This could be good.
Yeah, I think for me personally, and I see Armor, or I see Trekkie in chat says, I think Fabula Ultima is specifically emulating JRPGs, while Valor is drawing inspiration from all shonen. And I would say that, like a lot of people were really confused because I really love Fabula Ultima, right? And I love the art and I love that. And it's like, they're like, Derek, you hate anime. I was like, no, like there's like particular about the style. I do love JRPGs. And so like Fabula Ultima is like sort of the sweet spot for me. If anything, the problem with JRPGs as we've gone, in the last 10 years, is I think that they have gone more anime and more, I don't know, feely story time, which is not what I want out of my JRPG. So yeah. Okay. Well, so if this is the first time joining us for his first look, this is kind of a unique one because we've got guests. So we're all got the PDF up. We're not going to literally read, every single page of the book, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to sort of break this down into three things. One, what is this game engine even doing? Is it just a fantasy heartbreaker, or does it really bring something unique to the table? That I will be able to offer some advice on. Two, are these mechanics anime approved? I don't know. This is what Bob was referring to.
Yes.
And then the third thing, of course, is if this game is emulating an anime inspiration, would it be a game that we would want to play? And the answer for me would probably be no. So Mike T says, is this the one where we used to emulate Legend of the Overfiend? So before we went live, we were talking about animes a little bit. And you'll notice we've got two tip goals. We got a super chat goal in the bottom right-hand corner, a tip goal. The super chat goal, I have no idea what this is. Someone in the Patreon just said we should throw this up here. If we reach our super chat goal, Bob and I are going to get together and we're going to watch a couple episodes of something called Delicious in Dungeon. Don't know what that is.
Yeah, still don't.
On the other side, the flip side, if we reach our tip goal, then I have to force Bob to sit down and watch the only anime that I actually enjoy and own proudly, which is Record of Lotus War. And again, we'll sit down, we'll watch a couple episodes of that, and we'll break it down. We'll have some fun with it. But we were talking about anime, and I was like, yeah, when I was like, a young kid, and I wanted to get it, into anime, Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, Record of Lotus War. And there was a place down the street that I would, local movie, rental shop that I would rent from. And I said, everything was going fine until I accidentally rented some cartoons, which were not cartoons, like La Blue Girl. And I completely forgot about it because it probably got removed from my mind. But also Legend of the Overfiend was also one that I got out of my list. Because again, it wasn't in the curtained off section. How was I supposed to know?
It was an accident.
They didn't know what they were putting on their shelves.
Right, they didn't know.
They had no clue. Just like right now, Disney has no clue that Ranma 1/2 is what it is and existing on their platform. Another anime I love from my childhood.
Yeah, so there I'm, 13, 14 years old or something like that, and I'm basically renting porn from the from the Blockbuster or whatever.
Classic LimeWire whoopsie. I love it.
Pepper with a $5 super chat getting us started off says, Dungeon Meshi. Dungeon Meshi? Is that must be from That must be from the show.
That's the translation of delicious and that's the Japanese of delicious and dungeon.
Okay.
Meishi. Meishi because is delicious.
I'm sorry. Meishi? Meshi?
Yeah.
Meshi? Or Meishi?
Meishi.
Yeah. CCal with a $25 super chat. So we're already $30 there. Says Dungeon Meishi. I give it all of the attaboys. Are you going to watch it on stream, or how are you going to do that legally? Or is it going to be a post-watch reaction review type thing? CCal.
We'll do something private with the patrons.
We would probably do something private with the patrons, and then we might put like an edited version that won't get us in trouble legally out on the YouTubes or something like that. But yeah. It's a fun idea that we'll be willing to try out. Again, historically, nobody has ever really wanted to watch us watch stuff, but as Tim pointed out on Friday, people do hate, or people do love to make me suffer. So that is a given.
There's one absolute truth that I've learned in this world.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. All right, so let's get into Valor, the heroic roleplay system. So what we're going to do here is it's by Liana McKenzie and Quinn Gordon. Don't know them. Now we did get a warning from Armored, who said, just to be clear, the editing can be a little rough. All right. Fair enough. Okay, we got some art here, table of contents. All right, let's take a look at the table of contents just so we could see what we're working with. We're on page 6 of the PDF, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. All right. So we start off with 17 pages, how to play. Again, with first looks, I'm always sort of, beating up everything here. But I like that. I like when a game can come out and say, hey, look, before I teach you the rules, I'm going to kind of, show you what's up. And
with less than 20 pages, it sounds pretty nice if they can do it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I like when they start with the rules instead of starting with like, here's all the races, here's all the thing. I like for that stuff to come later after you have some context. Now, that being said, it looks like the rules to this game are only 17 pages long, because the next section is called The Season.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I'm assuming it has something to do with like the anime season. And then there's 40 pages of skills. And already I can see the writing on the wall, because I see
overdrive.
Overdrive boost.
Sounds great.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so those are like your super anime powers. No, somehow not, because on the next column there's techniques, including your core techniques, your limit techniques, your ultimate core techniques, and then your ultimate limits.
Sounds pretty good.
That's right.
Right. I mean, they did have to create more levels of Super Saiyan, right? Because
that's what I want.
A super duper Saiyan.
Now
I am watching Dragon Ball right now too, which is kind of funny.
Wait, Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball Z.
See,
it's funny because like Goku and Vegeta are like, we're Super Saiyans, and they're not. I mean, they are, but they're not. Like, they haven't changed their hair to yellow yet. They haven't like charged up, but they're like telling themselves they're Super Saiyans.
To be fair, Goku never thought he was a Super Saiyan. Vegeta said that shit like 87 times.
This is, so many times, and he was like, "How
many times?" Dragon Ball Z Abridged makes it clear just how many times he said it.
I will say there were some moments, because again, I used to live with a guy who like basically watched that show like 3 times, like in a year. So it was always on, and I never saw, I probably never saw an entire episode except for maybe like a couple of times. But I'd come, he'd watch like 5 episodes, I'd come back, it'd be the same fight.
Oh yeah.
And I will say that there were a couple of moments that I did really appreciate from Dragon Ball Z, and the one I appreciate the most is Goku, Sun Kun. He comes back for this tournament or something, and he's sparring against some guy who used to be the shit, but now is just some minor character. The guy with the third eye.
Oh, Tien.
And he's like kind of evenly matched, and Goku's like, oh, you've really been working hard and training. Okay, well, all right, let's get this thing started. And then he like takes off his clothing, which apparently weighs like 1,000 pounds. He's just dropping it, and then he's like moving like in like he's blurring, and I had to appreciate the ridiculousness of that. Even I had to appreciate the ridiculousness of that. All right, I don't want to just turn this into anime time, but then we get About 20 pages from the Game Master's Guide. We've got stuff about NPCs, combat scene difficulties. So again, sounds like there's definitely a CR system here as well. Different types of scenes, how to use that in the game. And then we end with some equipment, ultimate techniques and alternate forms. And lastly, a sample campaign, which is like 50 pages. Okay.
I know I was going to say, this thing is a pretty beefy little 30, 40 page campaign over here.
Yeah, that's actually, that's like some Dragon Ball Z, or not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Bane.
Yeah, it's good value though. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what they're giving you, but I mean, we could check it out. So real quick, what I want to do before we get into, well, let's read here. So welcome to Valor. Again, more of this, reminds me a lot of like tiny taverns, Bob, like that art style. Welcome to Valor, the tabletop role-playing system. Again, that's just a personal irk of mine. It's like, why isn't role-playing? And it's like the tabletop role-playing game. That's what it should say there. But anyways, welcome to Valor, the tabletop role-playing game based around building heroic characters that can do whatever you can imagine. Valor's purpose is to allow you to duplicate the feeling of high-powered, fantastic settings in the tabletop format. The rules are intentionally made flavor light. I like that. A lot of people don't like that, but I do like that. And flexible so that you can create any number of different atmospheres. So this is the idea where a game isn't trying to like create its own specific flavor. It's saying this is more of a generic system that you can you could use this for, I don't know, game in space, or you could use it for like a game with dragons and elves. Maybe.
I love that.
The system is also made to be modular enough that you can just build about any conceivable character under the sun. This system is not about reality. While the rules make passing nods to realism when warranted, for the most part, it is willing to ignore them completely for the sake of the narrative.
Sweet. I can run up a sword.
That's the real litmus test, Bob. Valor places a much higher emphasis on playing the role of the character than on the whim of the dice. While these rules perform the framework of the game, they are not absolute. Yada, yada, yada. The GM can change anything. None of the rules matter, and you can all just make it up.
Gotcha.
Great. Perfect.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Love it. The Valor system is based off of a single die, the D10. And it primarily uses opposed rolls to resolve conflicts. Having a calculator for some of the damage numbers doesn't hurt. Ooh.
Yikes.
This is going to hurt me.
That's what happens, Bob, when it's over 9,000.
I mean, okay, that's fair.
This is the price that you have to pay. But I will say that shouting out that you might want a calculator is not the quickest way to get into my heart. In addition, you'll need paper and pencils, yada, yada. Finally, a grid or battle map of some sort is all but essential for many
tactical combat.
Yeah, in fact, it says for many of the tactical options represented here, as well as other dice or tokens to represent the characters. But this system functions both in the square and hex format. So,
that's good.
Well done on that. All right. So before we go to creating a character here and go through like the 20 pages of rules, I do want to jump to the end of the book, 202. There we go. 184 or something like that.
Okay.
Because I want to take a look at the character sheet.
Yep,
so
got it.
This is the character sheet, and it's not my favorite character sheet I've ever seen in my life. But let's just take a look and see if what's coming up. So it looks like we've got experience in a level, so it's a level-based system. Room for art, and then it looks like these are. I'm not sure what we got. It looks like we have 5 stats, but then we have another 5 stats that are active. So we have.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we have strength, agility, spirit, mind, guts.
But they look like they're corresponding directly to the active.
But then there's
dexterity.
a muscle that's a very strange dexterity, and then spirit has the active of aura.
Yeah.
I suspect that these beige green are paired together and might be like related to each. Like strength is like muscle might be a direct attribute versus modifier, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean,
I think so. I think they're directly connected somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it must be 2 ways to say the same things, but we'll take a look.
Yeah.
Then we have some of them get repeated for attack. And then we have statistics. We have health, stamina, defense, resistance, and move. And then we have something called increments. Health increment, stamina increment, critical health increment, and damage increments. All right, so there's a lot of stuff here.
I hate abbreviating health. Literally on the like 3 above the word health. That's not abbreviated.
Right. Health, right. And then they're like health.inc. You're like, oh, that's one of my favorite things. Derek says increment is such a janky word. Yes.
Yeah, it is. I almost wonder, like, is it like, bloodied in 4E because it said it was 4E based? Like maybe this is like just even more granular than that. Oh,
yes.
Be interesting to find out.
Yes. And then we have room for some flaws. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I see here on the right, it says flaw SP, which I'm assuming is skill points. So it might be like a point buy system, Tim, where you get like points to buy. Then we have skills. I'm not sure if those are like what we would think of as skills or if there's something different. And we got a lot of room for skills.
Yeah, a lot of skills.
And not only do we have small skills, and then we have big skills because like apparently some of them require
more writing.
Yeah. And then we have techniques, which apparently are different.
Man, this is a 5-page character sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4-page character sheet. Okay.
Just from the table of contents, like technique seems like it could be almost like M&M PowerPoints where you just can get crazy with it.
Yeah, but I mean, again, we see here mods, limit, core power.
Yeah.
So there's
the techniques are probably like how you guys used to do the cards in the binder type thing.
Yeah. So
maybe.
So there's a lot going on here. So all right, so let's take a look here. Let's go over to page, I guess page 10. Or not page 10.
Page 2, page 10.
Page 2.1. We just got a super chat from Damien. Same flaw as the Marvel playtest. If you need a calculator, your numbers are too big for the sake of being big. You remember?
Hey, people like Vin love that stuff.
I know people do love that. Absolutely. Damien, I'm in complete agreement with you, obviously. So creating a character is all about concept. So again, there seems to be, and again, this game came out in 2015, by the way. There definitely seems to be an element here that's like shades of Fabula Ultima. I'm not saying that Fabula Ultima was inspired by this game. I'm just saying that like the idea being that like it's more about creating this like, because in Fabula Ultima, right, you know, they're called classes, but you don't really, you're not really a fighter. You're not a weapon master, right? You just take a couple levels here from this job, from this job, but your character concept might be like, I'm an exiled knight of the fallen kingdom, right? That's like, if you had to say, what's your character class? You would say, I'm an exiled knight of the fallen kingdom. And it's like, that's not a class in the game. You're like creating it. You're building it up. Yeah. And say, for example, one player wishes to create an android, whereas another wishes to create a ninja warrior. Initially, this is represented exactly the same way. Both players will make a level 1 character. The difference is the way that the characters are then built. So it feels like it's maybe like a classless system where you just take the skills and the techniques and stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for a breadth of options.
Right. I mean, I more or less have I used to be really big about class-based design, and now I'm not as big into it because there's so much multi-classing and all this other stuff that people do. It's like the class really doesn't really feel like it means anything like it used to,
Agreed.
So the difference here is the way the character is built. The first player will want to buy skills based around toughness and strength. That's the android. Whereas the second player will want to buy skills based around agility and swiftness, the ninja. All right. The same applies for the formation of techniques. They allow you to personalize your character's special moves and attacks. So it sounds like the techniques are actually custom built. Okay. You're often another important aspect to remember when you create your character is often going to be several cuts above an ordinary human being.
As they should.
Right, I'd hope so, to be fair.
They're stronger, faster, more talented than the most people going about their daily business. Be it their training or special abilities, they are on an entirely different level of power than any normal inhabitant of the world. So
they are MCs. Their hair is not black.
Right.
That's right. That is 100% right.
What does that mean?
Oh, you don't know that, Derek?
No,
I don't know anything. Look at a typical anime picture, like say there's a bunch of people in there.
Yeah.
Every one of them will have like black hair, except for the main character.
Yeah. And
maybe their side main character, and they have colored hair.
Okay.
You can pick them out from a mile away.
Parn is the main character of record of Lotus War. He has brown hair.
It's not an absolute rule. Some MCs have black hair.
You just usually could see them like everyone has the same face, and then there's like, oh, that guy is designed so much differently than the rest of the people. So it's sort of they jump out at you.
Pepper does say, objection. Shonen protagonists are more likely to have black hair than other primary cast members. All right.
There you go.
Depends on whether or not they're an audience insert. I see. Okay. And Derek says, that's true, Derek, but Lotus War is also grandpa anime. Guilty. Okay. Finally, it's important to determine where your character fits in the rest of the party. I love this paragraph. This is something we talk about a lot. Tabletop games are cooperative by nature. There should be no main character. It's all about the party. While it's not necessary to have characters in your party that are good at different things present, it's usually a good idea to attempt to create a unique character. Okay. All right. Base attributes are what makes up your character. Attributes are the core of your character's ability. They're most indicative of who your character is and what you can do. They determine a number of statistics such as your health and stamina. The available attributes are strength, agility, mind, spirit, and guts. They determine your raw physical strength, your speed of movement, your keenness of intellect, your supernatural abilities, and your force of personality, respectfully. Active attributes are the ones that see most use in play. Whenever you make a roll in Valor, you will add an active attribute to a roll. Oh, so that green box is literally just the modifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim was saying.
Okay. So it's basically like, 18 plus 4, Yeah. Okay. In many cases, you will have the ability to substitute an active attribute that is more desirable or add special bonuses depending on what is involved. That's a weird way of doing that. Anyways, okay. They are derived from your applicable base attribute and your character level. So it's like it's basically like,
it's proficiency plus.
Yeah, proficiency plus level, basically, or a stat plus level. At first level, when you create a character, you get 25 attribute points. You can distribute them, and nothing can go above 8. All right?
Okay.
The only major requirement for assigning attributes is you should always have at least one primary attribute at its maximum possible value, a.k.a. Pathfinder 2.
Right.
At least they tell you that, because here I am trying to make a balanced character, and that's
you're like 5. It's like, oh,
yeah, they're like, no, don't do that to yourself.
You're the worst anime character of all time. Yeah, Bob. What are you talking about? It can't be lower than 1. You're the exact type of player that would be like, okay, so I have 2 8s, 1 7, and 2 1s.
Yeah, Goku is like the epitome of a 1 intelligence and an 8 strength. Okay, like it's very clear, that's how you build an anime character.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So your active attribute is calculated by adding your base attribute to your current level, then dividing by 2, round up. So if our strength is 8 and our level is 10, we have 18.
Yep.
Divided by 2 is plus 9. So we'd be rolling D10, I think, plus 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way I understand it. Yeah.
So it is rounded up, which means that at least at the start of the game, having a 7 in your strength would give you the same thing as having an 8. I think. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Although I guess no, you know what? But it's rounded. So like the next level, like the 8, when you go to level 2. Oh, anyways. The 8 will be plus your level. So it would be, assuming you start at level 1, the 8 would actually be a 9, which would be a 4.5, which would be a 5. Okay. I was like, that's kind of weird to not have the 8 be something thing. Pumpkin says the optimally average anime characters are my favorite.
Who's optimally average that you would like?
That you would like. I love you threw that on at the end.
I'm just trying to think, like every anime, like the people that have like the stick out, they have a badass something, like their wits or their
the operative word there, Bob, though, is that you said they stick out. I think these are the characters who do not stick out. They're just supporting cast, Now,
I don't know much about Pumpkin in terms of what he watches, but I know he said before that he really likes harem anime. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I think the idea is that it's like you have like this like Joe Schmo nobody.
You know exactly what it means because it describes exactly what it is. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, you're under no illusions.
Okay, And then they are just surrounded by a coterie of onlookers and admirers.
Yes, particularly have large-breasted women who absolutely love them for no seeming reason other than they exist.
Got it. Okay.
This sounds terrible.
He's got mad riz. So there you go.
I don't understand. Like, yeah, I got my anime. Right. I mean, even I'm trying to think of what's that. What's the anime, Tim? That they're all in that magic world, and the one guy doesn't have any magic. But he has that
Black Clover.
Yeah, so Black Clover is like that guy is like average, but he's not because he's got incredible fortitude and determination. So even though he's way below
the main character of Black Clover is definitely not average in any way.
Well, and you know,
you know what I was going to say, non-magic one of the whole show. Though.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, so like for example, this is kind of like a weird aside, but like when you play Monster of the Week, which is a PBTA game that's sort of based off of Buffy and shows like that, one of the playbooks is just the ordinary guy or girl, right? If you've watched Buffy, it's like you could be Buffy the Slayer, right? You could be Giles the Watcher with the knowledge and the equipment. You could be Willow the Witch, or you could be Xander, who's just the normal guy.
I would love to play Xander in that kind of game so badly. It'd just be so funny. Right. The Xander episode of that show.
Oh, the one where he saves the day and no one knows?
Absolute gold.
It's one of my favorite episodes of the entire shows. And so, and a lot of times in these games, so like, for example, there's a stat here called guts. And I like to think that like that character that you're talking about, like the Xander character, Tim, right? Not good strength, not good agility, not good mind, not good spirit, but he has guts. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. He's still maxing out in something.
Yeah. So anyways, all right. Well, the game does say max out. All right. At least
definitely be good at one thing.
Yes. Thank you, Solana. Yeah. The playbook is called The Mundane from Monster of the Week. Nice. So this is just talking about strength, the attribute here on page 3.1. And just also it's kind of an interesting way of doing it. It's like, it's talking about the attribute in like comparison to the other attributes, they're like synergy. They're like if you have high strength and high guts has great synergy with strength, making a character an unstoppable melee juggernaut that can soak damage for quite some times, as well as a number of
nice.
So it's kind of an interesting way to sort of approach it. I wonder if they just and by the way too, then they have this little sidebar which I like, which says like, how do you build a strength-based focused character? They are good at getting in close, soaking damage, giving as good as they get. The advantage of strength is the attribute gives a strong balance of offense and defense, but they have the least options for range attacks, and their defensive ability, Muscle Guard, ensures that even if they defend against an attack, they still take a small amount of damage. Techniques based on strength inflict physical damage, which is more effective against characters who have low strength or low guts. You should build a strength-based character if you want to be powerful, hardy, athletic, melee-focused. I think this is really good advice. I think this is good
do one
stuff.
for each of these. Like each page, the next one's agility and dexterity. It's actually kind of clever.
Save Versus with $20 coming in says, I don't know if tip means watch or play Lotus War, but this is where I want that money to go. So let me go ahead and shift that over there real quick.
Yeah, man. But to your point, Bob, I'm really liking these. For every stat, I love it. It's like a good little intro to everything. Gives you a nice description. For as short as we were saying, it could. The rules are. This is a pretty solid example of what to do with one page, and right away, like right in the book. This is page 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like, do you want to play strength? Yes, exactly what I want to play. Perfect. Read through this. Right. Get a focus on your mentality of what you want.
We were talking the other day with this one first look. It's like, man, there was like a 20-page short story. And then they were like, before you play this game, first we must tell you about the creation of the Chalice of Winds. And you're like, I don't care. Like, let me just make the damn character. I just want to play.
I only care about the lore if the game is good, guys. Come on.
Right. So as the guy's saying, we're not going to go through every single one of these, but there is basically these really cool pages. But thank you, Save Versus, for that. We are definitely building this up here. Let's see here. Derek Rawlings says, oh no, fiction at the start of the game is a bad idea. I'm not poo-pooing on fiction. I just think it's a tough way to sort of break through. And Lollipop wants to know if you can brute force punch your way through the dimensions. That'll be another one of our key goals here.
That seems like more Marvel.
Yeah. So this is a cool way of doing this. So, again, agility, we've got spirit, which is somehow, for some odd reason, the modifier is called aura. So, all right. And then we have mind. We got a cool, I will admit, I do like the picture of the mage guy.
I thought you would. I mean, that looks right up your alley.
Yeah, I like that. He's like standing on the rune circle. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then we've got guts and resolve. All right. So guts is sort of like a mixture of courage and con, basically. It sounds like. Guts does have one distinct disadvantage. It cannot be used to attack. So there you go. It's more
so it's like a defensive only thing.
Yeah, they're extremely resilient, able to shrug off effects, stay in the fight longer. It grants health and defense and is the best attribute to substitute when defending. Furthermore,
won't you stay down?
Furthermore, Guts boasts a wide array of defensive skills that make Guts characters difficult to bring down or hamper with negative effects. All right. So moving on into page 8, bot 1. So we got our combat statistics. So if you remember from the character sheet, you had, and in fact, actually, I'm going to shoot over there really quick. Page 184. So we can see now we've got our base stats of guts, mind, spirit, agility, and strength, which would be between 1 to 8. We've got 25 points to put into those character slots. Then, based on our level, which I assume we would start at 1, but as we gain level, those translate into a bonus up to our D10 roll: muscle, dexterity, aura, intuition, resolve. Now we still have this attack box, not sure about that, but we see that there are a statistics box: health, stamina, defense, resistance, and move. So it looks like these statistics are going to be determined by the attributes that we just made with our character. I'm just curious, before we go on, if we don't have to break down everything, but the game did say you want one attribute, base attribute, to be an 8, and they said you might even want 2 attributes to be 8 or near 8. Bob, what would your 2 be that you would?
Strength for sure, and if guts is like defensive, I kind of like being a ridiculously strong tank.
Got it. So you're Hulk.
Yes.
Got it. Tim, what about you?
I would be going agility and spirit maxed.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the mind? What's like the basic concept here?
I'm a very dexterous fighter, but I'm like, my fighting spirit is the max. I'll keep going. I got the high techniques, strong core of resolve. Like, you're not going to shake me in this battle, and it's every fight, everything's going to be perfect. Like, I'm Rengoku, baby.
Yeah, I'm hunting intelligence 100%.
Yeah. So, it's tough. I mean, obviously, I kind of like the idea of strength in mind and kind of going gish, right? Like having that like arcane sword wielder, who like channels elemental energy and lightning and stuff like that through their blade. That sounds kind of cool.
It says strength shores up a number of mind's weaknesses, gives it the greater durability and melee capability. Since strength deals physical damage, it gives additional versatility to mind characters.
There you go. Well, so that way, see, now I can play both sides. I can throw a fireball, but also carve it up in melee, All right. Anyways, going back here, health. So combat statistics determine how your character functions in combat, such as how far they can move, how much damage they can do, how much damage they can take. Health is the amount of punishment you can take before you are incapacitated or killed. When your health reaches 0, you are incapacitated. You can take no further actions until you're restored to at least 1 health. They represent your general ability to resist or soak damage, and while health remains, they still have the strength to fight. If you are reduced to negative your maximum health value, your character is dead. And that's negative your hit points, by the way.
That's a long way down.
You are permanently removed from play. The GM may elect to create some means for revival if desired, but in general, death means the creation of a new character. Oh, God. Calculating health. Base 50.
There we go. Numbers go burr.
Plus 5 for each point of strength. Plus 10 for each point of guts.
There we go.
Plus 10
80,
for each character.
80 and 40. So I'm good.
So 80. So if you had 8, Bob, you would have a 40 from strength, 80 from guts, and then you would have 10 for being level 1.
That'd be, and 50 for base.
And 50 for base. So 60 plus 40.
240?
No, 180.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100 plus 80.
It's 120 plus 60. So yeah, 180.
Yep.
So you would start with 180 hit points.
That's so much.
Lollipop goes, "Where's Vin? Numbers are going burr." All right. Well, that seems ridiculous.
Well, especially because those numbers are so big. If Tim is like saying not going strength, then I assume his are lower. And he said not guts either. So those are now lower because he put 16 points out of 25 in the other categories.
I mean, okay. So
I'm exponentially higher.
Well, okay. So the minimum you have to put in is 1.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And so you would minimum and you have to be level 1. So if you put 1 strength, 1 guts, and you're level 1, that's plus 25. So you start with 75 hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, but I mean, if you're a high con barbarian in Pathfinder 2, you might start the game with dwarven, right? You might start the game with like 30 something hit points. And if you're like an elven wizard with like a 12 con, you might start with like 15. So
this is fair.
Yeah, after that though, I don't know, how easy it is to increase your attributes going forward, but after that, 10 hit points per level is not massive.
Now, of course,
That's fair.
They might also come back here and say, all right, your starting damage is 50,
True.
Yeah, someone in the chat said, Jay did. He was like, I wonder if this is just really like divide by 10.
Right.
Like, so
just 18. Yeah, easily.
Right. Like I call this the absolute, like in Magic, because it's a normal game made for sensible people, you would have a creature that would be like, oh, this creature is a 3/3, a 3 power, 3 defense, 3 toughness. So that's the lowest denominator that we could get to with 3. And then Pokemon, that thing would be a 30. Yep. And then in Yu-Gi-Oh, it would be a like 3,000.
Gotta love Yu-Gi-Oh.
Like, why? It's so stupid. All right. Let's continue. All right, health increment. So this was that was the thing that bothered, but this was Health Inc. Or Health Inc.
Mm-hmm.
It is a small amount of vitality that is recovered between scenes. It represents a character's ability to bounce back, refocus after a battle. After every scene, all characters recover 1 health increment worth of health. It is equal to 1/5 of your total health.
Okay.
So yours was 180, Bob.
Yeah.
So what is that? 35? No, it's not 40. 30.
That would be just under 25, right?
No.
I'm thinking of 100. So
36.
Yeah, 36. Yeah. So
and then mine would be 15.
Yeah, 36. All right.
My sensu bean. I just need to gain it all back.
I bet that is a custom technique we can make. That's the sense I get.
Yeah. By the way, if you're wondering, that took you guys too long. It's because we're not using our calculators as the game recommended we should. All right. Critical health represents the point beyond which any sane human would stop, would be fighting. It is the point where a hero is barely hanging on. And of course, that means that you've been beaten down, destroyed. So, of course, it gives you special bonuses.
Of course.
Depending on how your skills and techs are viewed.
Absolutely.
Whenever your health is below twice your health increment, you are considered to be at critical health. So, since your health increment is 20%, that means if you're at 40% health or lower, you are basically in, it's like, what is that called, Tim, and WoW Warriors, when they get low, they can, or is that from EQ?
Might be from EQ.
Like,
Warriors can execute when the opponent is low health.
No, I'm thinking of EverQuest. In EverQuest, when a warrior gets below like 20% life, they berserk and they and they attack faster. They do a shitload more damage. And if you heal them up beyond that, they lose that ability. And so there's kind of like a sweet spot of like trying to keep them barely alive with your heals, just so that they can stay berserking.
I hate that this is like 40% though. Like, I guess it's just 2 times your
what would you prefer it to be?
50%.
Oh, just bloodied.
Yeah, just give me like a clean number.
Yeah.
But your calculator's already out, so I guess.
Well, also, I mean, it could just say below half. I mean, I agree. This should be half. It just maybe they want it to be
easier.
I think part of it might be a balance thing, because I'm thinking about it. Like to simulate when a character is going to hit those critical scenes in the game, because like me, I'm thinking double my health increment, that's 30 hit points, that's just barely under half. So like when I'm low, when I'm bloodied because I don't have a high strength and guts, like as soon as I'm bloodied, I'm like, all right, I'm in super mode. Whereas you have to get hit, down to much lower of your overall health, right? So it might be a natural pacing of the style of character.
I mean, it's definitely the case that like when you're at half life and it's like, oh, you're in critical health. It's like, am I? I'm at 50%. Whereas like 40% or even 20%, right? That feels a little bit more like, okay, the glass is half empty. You know what I mean?
It
like
also makes me think that 30 to 35 health means you're going to get one shot. You're in danger of one hit.
Right.
That's why it's critical, right?
All right, so moving on. Recovering health. After each scene, you recover 1 increment of health, which we said is 20% of your max health. If you forfeit participating in a scene so that you can devote your time to intensive rest, you get an additional increment of health. So if you're just like, I'm not participating, I guess, I'm going to go like recover, and then you would get 40%. Stamina is the reserve of energy that you have available to use your special abilities. Okay, Bob, so health is hit points, stamina is willpower.
Yep.
Basically, from Dragonbane. So stamina is your mana bar, basically. It is a reserve of energy you have to use your special abilities. It represents your reserves. Thanks. They really want you to know that this is about your reserves. It represents the reserves of inner strength you have to continue using your powerful attacks. All right, base stamina is 8 plus 2 for each point of spirit, plus 2 for each point of, plus 2 for each point of mind, and then plus 4 for each character level. So the Mr. Bob the Hulk there, not going to have a lot of stamina, whereas Tim's high spirit character and my high mind character are going to have a little bit more stamina available to us. As with the health increment, a stamina increment represents a small amount of stamina that you would get back. It's 1/5 of your total. And same thing, if you forfeit participating in a scene, you can recover an additional increment of stamina. So basically, you get 20% back of your hit points and 20% back of your mana, for lack of a better term, although they call it stamina here. Thoughts on that?
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I need to see more to understand what they think like an adventuring day is.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah, like what is 1/5 in the scheme of how much we can do. But
well, the thing
I like that it's not all, because I was playing Alien just the other day, and like literally between scenes you're going to full health every time.
Yeah, but that's like what I was like kind of complaining about with Forbidden Lands and Dragonbane, Bob, in the forum, which is just like
I just disagreed with you.
but you just made the same point for Aliens.
No, I didn't like it. I don't like it in Aliens.
Oh, okay. But you do like it in Forbidden Lands?
In Dragonbane, there's always like wild encounter, like random encounters. Like when you're trying to,
you're telling me
you're trying to rest in the middle of the jungle. Like it ain't safe.
That it's, if it happens every time, then it's not random, Bob.
I mean, you roll on a chart. It's not. It is random.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's either something happens or nothing happens, and you get everything back.
Yeah, but that something happened is the risk. And that's where you feel like the pressure, like, should we actually rest here? I don't know. Like something bad could happen.
Well,
we should push on.
Well, yeah, let's push on to known dangers with low hit points.
Not known dangers. You just keep you press on. Like I'll kill those parties in DV if they're being silly.
All right. I will say this. The one thing that I like about this is similar to Dragonbane. One of the things I don't like about it. I'm not saying this is a problem for that game. I'm just saying you'll notice that this says for scene.
Mm-hmm.
So what this means is there could be a scene. Again, I'm just thinking, I know nothing about this game, right? There's a scene where it's like, oh, we're going on a ship voyage and it takes 2 weeks. You recover 20% of your health. Oh, right. We're having a scene. We're in the middle of a siege. We just fought off the first wave of undead. And now we can hear in the darkness, the other creatures are coming for the second wave. And there's like a little break, like a real little moment for dialogue. You recover 20%, right? It doesn't matter how much physical time passes. It's a narrative currency.
Well, they haven't talked about how long the scene is, right? Or anything yet?
I'm assuming, unless they go, a scene is approximately 20 minutes of time.
I get the sense, it's very open-ended what a scene is. It's only when you're in combat that there will be strict rules.
Yeah, that's my thought process there as well. Okay. Attack. Attack is represented by 4 individual stats that determine the strength of your techniques based on that. Now we know why, when we think back to the character sheet, Guts didn't have an attack because it said Guts you never use Guts to attack. So attack is based off of the 4 individual stats. When attacking, the attribute you select determines the form it will take. From a ball of magical flame to a crushing hammer strike, attacks can be just about anything. but they depend on the attribute to function differently. Strength is used to do melee-based attacks that function on fairly mundane means. Swords, axes, hand-to-hand combats. Even if the weapons themselves are magical. Agility is for range-based attacks that primarily focus around mundane means. Guns, bows, thrown weapons, light melee weapons in some cases. Mind attack is for magical spells that use incantations, formula, and other such mystical tradition. And spirit is to draw upon the character's inherent spiritual power, such as ki-based shockwaves. So all of these are done by adding your character level to your stat and multiplying by 2. So like Bob.
Yeah, they are all the same. Okay.
Strength attack is got by adding character level to strength. So Bob would be 9.
Yep.
Right? 8 strength plus 1 character level, 9, and then multiplying that by 2. So 18 would be his strength attack. Okay.
But like in the case of like you have a strength attack and a mind attack of hypothetically 18.
Of 18.
Which I have nothing with the guts.
Right, exactly. Damage increment represents additional damage that you can deal in special circumstances. Your damage increment is calculated by taking your character level and adding 5. Okay. Right. Damage increment can also be increased with skills. Defense is your ability to absorb physical damage when an offensive technique is used against you. Defense is subtracted from all strength and agility damage targeting you. Damage negated in this fashion cannot be reduced below 0.
So you could take a minimum of 0 damage.
Correct. You can't be healed.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing they specify. Sure. Okay.
Yes. Calculating defense. So by the way, damage increment just sounds like it's just basically a way to add like additional damage based on your level, because it's just your character level plus 5. Defense,
like make enemies stronger.
Yeah, defense is calculated by multiplying your level by 2, then adding your strength and guts. So Bob's character at level 1 would have.
Here's where the guts come from.
18.
Yeah, would have an 18, which means when you take physical damage, Bob, you would subtract 18.
Wow.
Yeah. This is when my chest starts growing for no reason. The muscles get bigger.
Resistance is your ability to absorb from the other 2. So that's from spirit and mind. And that is your level, multiplying your level by 2 and adding your mind and spirit. Okay, so you've got basically sounds like defense or whatever I should say, armor class or whatever is just based off of absorption.
Yeah, physical, right?
Well, no, like I'm saying, it's like there's no armor class. Like how hard it is to hit somebody.
This is what do you call it, defensive minus or whatever?
I don't know.
I mean, in Dragonbane, where you just minus the.
Well, that's the armor rating, but in Dragonbane, but in Dragonbane, it sounds like you're still making an attack roll. I don't know.
We haven't seen that yet.
But the point is, in Dragonbane, right? The attack roll that you make it doesn't matter. The opponent doesn't have like a DC or an AC to hit them. You're just testing against your own skill. And if you succeed, you do your damage, and then they subtract whatever their armor is. So the same thing's going here, except you have 2 types of armor absorption. You have a defense, which is your physical stats, agility, and strength, and you have a resistance. I really actually like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't mind that at all.
Does Dragonbane have something like that? No, because I think all the magic stuff just says get fucked. It bypasses your armor, right?
It does, and almost all of it goes to health. Though I can't remember if anything affects the willpower directly. Besides, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is mostly goes right to your health, and it all just bypasses your armor.
Yeah. Interesting. Something like I've been looking for more things I could do with intellect and charisma, Bob. Maybe we'll steal this from this game and add that to Dragonbane. All right. So move is just how many spaces you can move across the battlefield. By the way, spoiler alert. Look at this table here.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I was like, oh, you start with 8.
Okay. Okay.
I understand now.
So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, that's not so bad because, your level's going to go, oh, okay, so Bob's strength may end up being 25.
Right. Well, just remove that. It will be.
Yeah, whatever the highest.
At least 25.
Yeah, whatever the highest it could possibly be is. Okay, so we are going really off the charts here because, I mean, think about it. Remember, some of those things, Bob was at 180 at level 1 with an 8 and an 8. So if like you were level 10, 15, 20 with a 25, what would you even, I'm trying to even think what you would have. You'd have many, many hundreds. Okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering how how much you earn per level and what that equates to in the score. That'll be interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
here we probably go, levels and leveling up.
Right. All right. Well, but before we do that, looks like there's one more resource called Valor, which should hopefully be important because it's the name of the game. Your Valor represents your fighting spirit and your resolve. Man, they needed a thesaurus on that resolve word bad. I think that's like the 9th time they've used that word. Valor represents your fighting spirit and resolve to defeat your foes. Valor allows you to use attacks with Valor-based limits, and depending on the situation, can give bonuses or penalties. Okay. All characters normally begin with 0 Valor at the start of every new scene. And Valor cannot be raised above 10 or lowered below -10. However, some skills allow characters to begin with Valor or even raise your maximum Valor limit. So if I'm reading this correctly, this is kind of like Rage, Tim, from WoW, or like combo points, because it resets to 0 at the beginning of each scene.
Yeah, but you can also like, I'll also have to see how the negatives work. If you
can,
like,
that's true.
Borrow against it, or how that functions.
Yeah, if your Valor is below 0, you get a -1 penalty to all rolls. If your Valor is below -5, it's a -2 to all rolls. If your Valor reaches -10, you are incapacitated and no longer automatically gain Valor each round. Okay, so you could be taken out from Valor.
Okay.
So maybe it's like a morale
that makes
thing?
sense.
Yeah, maybe morale. I don't know.
Yeah.
If your Valor is 10 or higher, you get a +1 bonus to attack rolls. Unlike most
0 to 10, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm reading that? Okay.
You are reading that right.
Or 0 to 9. Sorry.
0 to 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike most attributes, Valor is not static. It is constantly increasing and decreasing depending on your actions. Bob, we would totally have to make a 3D printout for gems.
Yeah, you need to be moving stuff around. Or just like a sliding scale.
That's right. It constantly increases and decreases depending on your actions. And again, remember, this resets at every new scene. By acting in character or in particularly valorous fashions, such as, oh God, screaming out attack names.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Boy, that is... okay. By acting in character or in particularly valorous fashion, such as screaming attack names, confronting rivals, and making dramatic speeches, your GM can choose to reward you with Valor. However,
I was born for this.
But not to have Derek as your GM. Nope.
I'll be like, nope. You Neutral Hitchers goes, sneak attack. Bob, this is the game for you. Map attack.
This is called.
We could get Derek into it. We just have to say things like, sure you can.
Right. I have to go back to the 90s.
That's right.
Jefferson, yeah, this looks a little bit like this is a little bit like escalation die, but not quite, because escalation die just goes up automatically each round. This is basically saying if you're acting like an anime protagonist, then you get Valor, basically. However, acting in a cowardly or dishonorable manner, such as electing to attack someone while they themselves are making a dramatic speech, or running from an enemy. Or running from an enemy instead of facing them can cause you to lose Valor. Normally,
so Conan, enough talk would be like, no Valor.
That's true. He's just starting the fight off. Normally, you will gain 1 Valor at the end of each combat or challenge scene round. Although there are some skills that can increase these gains. Okay, so you get 1 each round, but you could also get more if you're acting particularly over the top shonen. Doc Flamingo coming in with $2 says they should change the name to Drama Queen. All right. Tiger Eye says, just how complicated is this combat system? It's getting crazy. Oh, I agree, buddy. We are well past the point of
we haven't even made a single technique yet.
Right, exactly. It's fine.
Comments on the next page.
We have an escalating hero point resource that goes up every round but can also go negative. We have multiple ability scores, which then have multiple attributes, which connect to multiple statistics, including one for physical defense, one for magic defense. What's complicated about that? But thank you, Doc Flamingo.
It's actually not too bad
so far. It's not. It's better than Marvel superhero role playing or whatever that was.
It's not too bad. A lot of it just goes in your character sheet. And you don't have to really worry too much.
I mean, most of these so far, you could just chop a 0 off, and it'd be pretty manageable.
Yeah, the problem is there are some things that are definitely like divided by have a +5. So there is a chance that there's a +5 in there. So anyway,
all right. Most.
Normally characters begin at level 1. As they increase in strength, their level also increases. Getting stronger. This game literally says, as they increase in strength, their level also increases. So it's literally getting stronger, Bob. Giving them new and more powerful.
They did warn us.
Yes. A character levels up by accruing experience points. It is a character's current level multiplied by 100. I don't think that's right. No, it is. Okay, no.
The next level.
So I'm used to thinking of Pathfinder 2, where it's like you reset back to 0. Like it's a ongoing thing. So you need 100 experience points to get to level 1. Then you need 200 more, which will be 100 to get to 2, and then you need 200 more to get to 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
300, 400, 500, 600.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even then, you normally start at level 1, so you start, I guess, with 100 XP, because why not?
Yeah.
Leveling up. When you level up, by the way, it does go to 20. You gain 3 base attribute points to put to your attributes. So you get +3 to your stats every level.
Oh, okay. Wow. So I really
your
can
base
ramp
attribute goes up by 1.
And the maximum that your attribute can be goes up by 1.
Right. So at level 2, you could have a max of 9 effectively.
Right. So they're forcing you to distribute.
Right.
Them.
So you can't go like, oh, cool, my strength is now 12 or whatever, or 11. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I think the experience thing is like, they say normally begin at level 1. I think they're like, for narrative, give your characters an origin, level 0 origin story or something,
maybe.
Like
actually, although it is possible, so the amount of experience required to attain the next level is your current level multiplied by 1. So actually, I think when you're level 1, you need 100 XP and then you become level 2. Then you're level 2, you need 200 more XP, which will put you at 300 to get to 3. So that's a very weirdly designed table. But
would that work for 20? Because then you need 22,000 to get to level 20.
Right, but that
doesn't make sense.
But that's it does.
No, 100.
Because by that point, the cumulative total experience you need to go from level 19 to 20 is 3,000. So you go from 19,000 experience, which you had when you reached level 19, I think, to then get to 22,000 at level 20.
Yeah, I don't. Well, we won't worry about it here. But anyways, so we get 3 ability points. Our max attribute goes up by 1. We get 6 skill points. We get 4 technique points. Every new season, we increase this gain by 1. So it sounds like we gain 4 technique points. And then as the game goes on, maybe we get 5 technique points, then 6 technique points per level. Then gain 1 ultimate technique at the maximum possible technique level at character levels 5, 10, 15,
that is
and 20.
An anime sentence.
All right.
That is definitely an anime sentence. But I will say this. Ultimate technique, I like that it's not like, and you get 1 when you get to level 20. I hate capstone abilities. I always have. So like if I'm right, if I'm guessing, seasons are going to be like tiers of play. And so like, a season might be like 1 to 5.
How 4th edition did it?
Well, kind of like tiers from 4th edition. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like 1 to 5 might be like a season. And then at the end of that season, right, you get an ultimate technique. And then you go into season 2, which is like level 6 to 10. And then when you get to then end of season 2, you get another ultimate technique. So like, I think that might be how that's structured. All right. Core mechanic. We're finally here, boys. During play, they use opposed D10 rolls as its core mechanic. Okay. So you do have a defense, it sounds like. Whenever a character is making any kind of action, be it a combat technique or a challenge action when you are outside of combat, they roll a D10 and add an appropriate active attribute. In some cases, this active attribute may be predefined. And in other cases, the players may have some flexibility as to justify which attribute they wish to employ, right? So, you're going to lift up the huge heavy boulder. It's probably going to be your strength. But if it's like something else, you might say, oh, no, like you could maybe use your agility or you could use your mind, as long as you can justify it. Mm-hmm. Whatever the case, if the action is targeting another character, that character will have the ability to counter with a roll of their own. The defender will normally have more options with which to defend, but may also suffer some penalties depending on the choice that they make. In the event of a tie, the roll always favors the aggressor in an action. On occasion in which there are 2 aggressors, an equivalent roll means both attacks are equally successful. So basically,
like double KO punch.
Yeah. So basically, you roll a D10, add an ability, add a number, I roll a d10. Whoever you're targeting rolls a d10 and adds a number.
I just don't know what they're using for the defense yet. Like, obviously, the other rolls with your muscle.
Yeah.
I roll my attack, but
well, we know that you can defend with guts. Because
so we got to combat's next.
Yeah,
so
when rolling, if one character exceeds their opponent's roll by either 5 or 10, depending on the scene, they achieve critical success. Critical successes give additional benefits beyond that of a normal success, but it sounds like you can get a double critical success.
Yeah, super critical.
Super critical. Combat scenes allow you to use a wide array of skills and abilities, while more complex combat scenes give a lot of opportunities for characters to shine individually and as a unit. So you get an action on your turn. A round is a full cycle of everybody. A turn is one individual character's set of actions. A character is surprised. They cannot take actions, and they may take the original damage. And rough terrain impedes movement. Okay, so basic stuff there. So on your turn, a full round is everybody making a number of actions. When it's your turn, you may take up to 3 primary actions. This is very much out of 4th edition, Tim. You could take a support action, an attack action, and a move action.
Yep.
So this is very much like standard move minor. Yeah, exactly. Or from Strike, right, which also had like basically the same kind of ideas. So long as you've used the appropriate actions in your turn, they can be used in any order. Attack allows you to use an offensive attack. You can only use one attack. But Tim, it's literally 4th edition. You can trade your attack down for either a support or a move.
Yep.
But you can't trade like a move up to an attack. So you can't be like attack.
Right. Well, given that, how much I love 4E, this gives me good vibes so far.
It's a very elegant system. I think that 4th edition, with its standard move minor and your ability to trade down actions, not up, I think is actually the best action system I've ever played. I think it's better than the standard 3rd edition, 5th edition model, and I definitely think it's better than the 3-action economy itself, because the fact that the 3-action economy often ends up using 2 actions for a lot of its activity means that you don't really get to use 3 actions. Furthermore, that they very specifically call out here, while in 4th edition it was called a minor action, a lot of times the idea is that it was sort of a supporting action. So this is
how the leaders let other people use healing surges. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what's really cool about this, because it means you can move around the battlefield, still get to attack, but then also get to support your allies. And that's a really cool thing to do in games.
Right, which I think, that's very good, because it is, it's trying to represent like, more shonen style of everything, where you're, the whole team is there and you get, so it's, I love it. Love it.
And in fact, I think that, I think it's to the detriment of Pathfinder 2nd edition is at its best when you have a character who like moves into a flank, makes an attack, and then uses their 3rd action to like, aid somebody or demoralize an enemy to help set up other enemy. That's when it's at its best. When you're playing, Pathfinder and you're like, I just move and I use 2 actions to power attack. That's where I feel like the game isn't humming the way that it should, because you're not interacting with your other party members. You're not interacting with the enemy, other than just doing damage. And that's why I think that's when the game can get boring. But the game does have the slow action. It expends all available action and is the only thing that can be taken in a turn. So there is something that is like, it's your whole turn. This is the only thing you get to do.
So you got to charge up your laser, man. Like,
right. That's right.
I'll see you charge a Kamehameha beam,
right,
you got to take a turn.
I do have Horizon Thunder Sphere on the soundboard.
Just in case.
And then support actions are actions that take little time to complete. They include using boost and weaken, as well as active skills. You can use one support action during your turn. A support action can be exchanged for a move action. Okay, but the move action distance is halved. Okay. So you can actually trade it.
I really like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that too, actually, because it's like, you could trade up, but it's not the full value, Right,
because it's a support action, and your support could be just tactical movement, but it's not great.
Right,
but it's an option.
It is. There are a number of special actions that can be taken. Charging, it's your whole turn, but it allows you to do one of 2 things: increase your valor by 2, or recover an increment of stamina. Interesting. So
that's not charging as in running and attacking at someone. It's charging as in I'm standing there and charging up.
It's kind of like second win.
But you take it out. You use your 3 actions on your turn your 3 things to do a slow action. And any turn out of the standard turn order.
Yeah, I don't know if that's probably well written, but like because
it's like an interrupt.
Well, because it still requires a slow action, which it can only, it has to be taken on a turn, so it has to be done on your turn. But basically, if you take your turn off, you can heal.
Okay.
But there's no limit to it. In 4th edition, you could do that, but you could only do it once a fight, and it used one of your healing surges. But this is like you could do this.
This is also increment of stamina, not health. So that would suck for my character. That
I very much think it's supposed.
You're right.
To
it's not
powering up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right because it's not. Stamina made me think hit points, but it's not.
But that's not that. In this
that's
game.
Health. Stamina is your power. It's okay.
So you're gaining like being badass, which is what I view Valor as, and the ability to do more awesome attacks. Like you're powering up, you're going Super Saiyan 1, you're evolving, whatever you're doing, you're taking all turn to get awesome.
So the game does have reactions, which are good. I like reactions. And then defend. A defending character can use an attack action to add +1 to their defense rolls, or use a slow action and add +2 to their defense rolls. Both effects last until the beginning of your next turn. So you can take your turn off to basically, or not attack, and then you can like raise your defense.
Okay.
All movement takes place on a square or hexagonal grid. You can move vertically, horizontally, or diagonally in any direction on the grid. So in other words, if you're playing with a grid, it's 1 to move diagonal, 1 to move diagonal, 1 to move diagonal, which is what 4th edition did, which lets you move faster on the diagonal than you would in Euclidean space, which is why hexes are superior.
Hexes are superior.
Which they said it was also designed for.
Yes. Zone of control is what you can reach and control. Exiting a space within your zone of control requires you to expend an additional space of movement. Additionally, zone of control determines the farthest any damage technique without a target modifier can strike. It's every space adjacent to them. So basically, to move past people, it's difficult terrain.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out what that meant.
And it stacks with other things that impede movement. So that's kind of cool because basically that means like if you want to, and technically it says it stacks with other effects that impede movement. So I wonder if you had like a fighter character here and you had a fighter character here and there was a space between them, would you be in both of their zone of controls and each square would take 3 squares of movement to go through, which would be a pretty effective way of Doc Flamingo says hexes are not superior. You have fewer directions and you can't move in a straight line half the time. Of course you can move in a straight line. You could do this. All right, you're right. You can move in a straight line on a grid. You can move in 6 straight lines. Try moving at 20 degrees on a grid. Tell me about how straight that line is with the squares. Newsflash, it's not.
Hexes, I just think hexes are so much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing I don't like about hexes is map making. Like,
you mean like a building?
Yeah, like if I draw a square room, I'm like,
And to be fair, the reason D&D uses squares is because the game was originally about dungeons and they used graph paper, and it was and most human being buildings are built in squares. But if you've played Gloomhaven, then you know that you can do hex rooms and it looks totally normal and fine. And you just
I guess I gotta play some Gloomhaven. I have the box downstairs. I just not the regular, the one I was talking about.
Throne of the Lion. Jaws of the Lion. Jaws of the Lion.
Yeah. We should play it one
Jaws of the Lion in my closet right next to me as well.
I was thinking we should play it one time, Derek, that we're off on a Friday night because I don't really know how to run it or play it. So
I haven't played Jaws of the Lion. I've only played Gloomhaven originally a couple times, but
which is more experience than me.
Well, there you go. And I do agree with Jay. This is why you measure with a tape measure, like AD&D intended. That's right. That's
shit. That's some Warhammer.
That's the Warhammer approach.
I'm okay with gridless and tape.
Yes,
I'm okay with that.
I have always wondered. I've never played a tabletop role playing game with no grid and using like rulers. And I wonder if it would be kind of cool. Or I think it'd actually be if you're comfortable with it. If you're a war gamer, I've played a ton of war games over my life. I think it would be like actually pretty fast.
Sweet.
I think it'd be
sweet.
Anyways, I think it'd be cool. What's up, Jackal? Good to see you, buddy.
Jackal usually on Tuesdays playing
that's right.
EverQuest with us.
That's right. Turn order. At the beginning of combat, we all roll D10 and add our dex as well as any skills. This is our initiative score, and it lasts till the end of the scene. We're sorted high to low. All the way down to last. After the final participant in a turn order has acted, everyone who has at least 1 health gains 1 valor. We reset and begin again. It says the order resets. Does that mean we roll again?
No, because it said that lasts until the end of the scene.
Oh, you're right. Okay. In the case of an initiative tie, all participants involved in the tie re-roll to determine who goes first amongst them. Boo. Re-rolls are the worst. Initiative's already bad when you have to roll and then sort everybody. But when you have to then it's like, oh, have a roll off. And I promise you, if we're playing this game and I was playing it rules written, and it's a really cool moment, I want to get into initiative, and it's like, roll initiative, and we're all rolling, and I know it's going to be slow. And then two people tie, and they're like, roll off, and I'd be like, already tilted. And then they roll the tie, and if that tied again, I'd be like, we're never playing this game again.
I knew it.
I agree with you 100% on the sentiment. There's no reason to do that.
Derek would just, if I was like, Derek, we tied, we have to do a roll off. Derek, like, you just go first.
I'd be like, if it was
there would be a well-established precedent as to who goes first.
I was assuming it was with another PC. If it was with an enemy, I would just be like, he's dead. I'll just take him off the board. Rather than put him in it, I'm not going to deal with this.
Some people might think you're being facetious. I can speak from experience. He's not.
I agree.
Yes, I very much not. I have killed and removed NPCs for less. I mean, case in point, Tim, were you there? Were you there the first time we played Abomination Vault? Yeah, Tim was there.
He removed my PCs for less. Come on.
Yeah, Tim was like the halfling or gnome druid. He was a gnome druid. When we first played Abomination Vaults, Tim, during the pandemic on the VTT, and we got to the boss of the adventure, and Smith cast slow, and he crit failed, and he was a spellcaster, and I just took him off the battlefield. I was like, all right, he's dead. He's just dead. All right.
And that was a real quick boss battle.
Spellcasters
who only have one action per turn are delete.
Just delete them. And of course, it wouldn't be a good initiative system that we just spent the last 5 minutes rolling, re-rolling, sorting, if you could delay and just change your initiative whenever you want. So good stuff. Good stuff. I also hate delay. If the game does have an ambush round where you get to attack people and they're surprised and yada yada, which is great. You can use special techniques you have created to damage or impede your foes or empower your allies. Most techniques target one ally or enemy within your zone of control. However, techniques can be improved that give them range. When attacking at range, there are no penalties imposed for using a range attack. When obscured by other characters, but obstacles can provide a cover bonus. All right. When attacking, the attacker rolls the active attribute bound to the technique they are using. The defender responds by rolling the same active attribute or by substituting a different one and suffering a small penalty. If the attacker wins or the roll is a tie, the technique hits. Which active attribute is used depends on the type of techniques. For damage techniques, it applies to the type of damage. For example, strength-based damage uses muscle, agility uses dex, etc., etc. Okay.
So you
punch somebody.
And
I would have to
default. You would muscle defend.
By default, I could defend with muscle.
But
my muscle might be 2. So this is suicide. Right. So I go.
Say you're attacking me, like my character with high agility, no muscle.
Yeah. Like if I had to guess, I'm just gonna guess. Let's say, Bob, you attack somebody with muscle. They defend with muscle. You roll D10 plus your attribute. I roll D10 plus my attribute. You attack Tim with the high agility. Tim's muscle's bad. So Tim goes, I'm going to defend with agility. I also have an 8 agility, but maybe because it's agility, but it's still in that physical, it's like in the strength dex physical part, you get a -1. So Tim is rolling at +7. You attack my character with the high mind. And so it's like my character's like, creating like an arcane shield to defend you. But at this point, we're kind of starting to get a little bit, Tim's doing this elite dodge sweet thing. My character's like little, using magic to try to resist it. Maybe I roll like -2 because it's in a different area. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Suffering a small penalty. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because
that's where your DM
is the same one.
Yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't matter. You would just always use your highest one, and it would be as good as any other highest one.
Right. Yeah.
When using a technique or skill, you must select a target or targets you wish to affect. Yada yada. Targets. Okay, good. Defending. When defending against an attack. Oh, we got a tip coming in from Anonymous. Anonymous, let us know who you were if you want.
Anonymous tipped $10. Just passing through, but loving the return of first looks. I hope you do one for FFXIV TTRPG W Smith if time allows.
All right.
Meishi and Record of LW are both great.
All right. Well, Ben, it was our good buddy Ben coming in here. So yeah. So what Ben said for the guys who may not be listening, or for the
we can't hear it,
for my guests, I should say. So Ben came in and said, love the return of First Looks, and also shouting out, just passing through, but love the return of First Looks. I hope you do one for the new Final Fantasy XIV TTRPG with Smith, if time allows. Dungeon Meshi and Record of Lotus War are both great. So Ben is a true connoisseur. Nice. Ben is a true connoisseur and likes both. Thank you, Ben. Okay. And by the way, I'll put a link. Speaking of like anime RPGs, Ben, a patron of ours and frequent guest of the show, has a blog and where he writes about gaming and music, and just did a pretty deep dive on the new Final Fantasy XIV game. So a lot of people were reading it and talking about it. So if you're interested in that game, I'll leave a link to Ben's blog and you can go check it out. But I'm sure Smith, Ben, would absolutely be delighted
all over it,
because Smith absolutely loves Final Fantasy XIV, probably more than pretty much any game that I know of in recent history, and would be able to provide a whole lot more context than I ever would be able to do. So Ben, I may just take you up on that. I think that'd be a really fun idea. And you know what? If I could get Aaron to come out of his cave and be on this, be on like one of these streams, it'd be great. All right. So defending. So when you defend against attack, you must roll with the same active attribute. Muscle, you counter with muscle. However, all characters may substitute active to give themselves a better chance by taking minor penalties, depending on how you wish to. Okay. So it's depending on each individual one. If you use acrobatics, you can defend it. When defending against attacks that do not inflict agility damage, you can still use your dexterity to defend. But if you fail to defend, you take additional damage.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, you know,
like this.
That's actually not bad.
I really like the specific here instead of leaving it up to DM Fiat. Actually,
I agree. Yeah. So and then by the way, that thematically makes total sense, right? You know, like the nimble.
Like you did not jump out of the way, but now you're completely undefended.
Correct, and you just get completely smashed because you were completely relying on your dodging to get out of the way. All right. If the attack prediction is if you use mind to defend, when substituting intuition, reduce your initiative count by 2 until the end of the round after the attack resolves, after which it resets. Attack prediction cannot be used if it would reduce your initiative count below 1. So basically, if you it means that you're going to go later in the round.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad initiative, you may not be able to use it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't go below 1. Or if
you already went, it doesn't matter, right?
If you already went, it does not matter.
Right? Because you still defend against the attacker, but you just go down 2.
That does seem right. If you already went, then it doesn't seem like a really. I mean, other than if it went down to 1, you couldn't use it anymore.
Correct, but
so like if you were getting attacked by a bunch of people, right, it would eventually run out. But it is interesting. It doesn't seem like it's as much of a penalty if you went first, but maybe that's part of the appeal of, you know, being this kind of like
high mind.
This brilliant tactical mind. All right.
Yeah.
Aura lets you deflect when defending against attacks that don't use spirit. You can still use aura to defend, but you have to burn some of your power. You have to burn some of your stamina. So it's like, cool. So you're like literally that's the energy shield that I was talking about. I was saying mind, but I guess it's more appropriate to say aura or spirit. So you're literally using your magic power to defend, and it costs you some stamina. Lastly, muscle guard. You can use this when defending against attacks that do not inflict physical damage, aka something that wasn't muscle. But if you defend, instead of taking full damage, you just take the damage increment. So you always take some damage if you use muscle against something else. So like the spellcaster could literally hit you with a fireball and you could defend with muscle. And that's just you going like, ah, and it'll hit you and you defended. So instead of taking the full damage, you just take the damage increment. You just take that bonus damage.
Okay, but am I reading this right? That if you were to like mind shock me, I can just be like, but I'm really strong.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But you would still take some damage.
Yeah, I know, but it's just kind of funny. At least the fireball one makes sense because it's still fire damage.
Well, look, you're the anime guy. I mean, I'm sure that has happened more times than I could possibly think of. You know, no, Bob. You know what it is? I start trying to destroy your mind, and you just start punching yourself. You're like, snap out of it. Don't let that witch mess with your mind.
Well, it's because of my low intelligence. You can't really do anything to affect me anyway. I'm too strong for this.
All right. Lastly, resolute defense. When defending against attacks, you can also use your resolve to defend. This is guts.
Okay.
Your valor has to be at least at 2 to be able to use this. So if you're in coward mode, you can't use your guts to defend.
Also, if you just went by base, it would be like the second round or the third round. You start off with 1, so the second round initiative round, you would have at least 2, right? 2 valor. So
yeah,
the longer the fight goes, the more valor you have.
Correct.
Stuff valorous.
Yeah. And by the way, there is no penalty to using guts. It's just you just have to have valor too.
Okay.
So basically you can't use it like at the beginning of the fight, but as the fight wears on and your valor goes up, now you can just rely on your sheer guts and sheer, determination to defend. Seems pretty thematically appropriate.
I like that. Muscle guard, I came up with something for it. It's in Naruto, if you get affected by an illusion technique or genjutsu, the way you break out of it yourself is to injure yourself to snap out of it, right? So that's what you're doing. Since your muscle and strength are closely related to your hit points.
Yeah. So it's sort of like
you're absolutely like, I'm biting my lip to break out of the illusion or
right.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of what's it in
what is it? What
Kaizen, they have like that aura thing that like encompasses you and it throws you all off.
What is it in Dragon Ball?
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the domain.
The domains.
Like a simple domain and yeah.
Right. What is it?
I'm too strong for this.
What do they always make fun of, like from Dragon Ball where it's like they make that kick sound like when they're just gritting their teeth and just like trying to like absorb something.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Anyways,
up in the last one I watched.
All right. So we can also use them against things that aren't just damaging.
Yeah,
well.
I like that.
All right. Status. We can fly. So there's flying. You're immune to attacks from the characters that don't have ranged. So it sounds kind of abstract in that way. Flying characters can ignore zone of control from land-based characters and can ignore land-based terrain. You can be immobilized. You're pinned to the spot. You can end this condition by using your move action. So if you get immobilized, you will only basically ever be immobilized for 1 round.
Which is also interesting because we know you can trade a support for half movement too. So
you
can even move after this.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So
very modular.
Yeah, very modular. You could, and there might be other things that you could do with your move action. We don't know, but and we know you could trade it down for another support action. So you could be immobilized and be like, well, I'm going to break out and then still move a little bit or still support. All right, incapacitated. Your health has been reduced to 0 or your valor or below, or your valor has been reduced to -10. You take no actions. You don't gain valor anymore. However, you may still speak. Incapacitated, you're not unconscious. Incapacitated represents the point where you're so emotionally or physically drained that you cannot move or contribute to the combat in any meaningful way. While incapacitated, you're also prone. Any rolls made while incapacitated automatically fail.
This happens a lot in anime. Like I've seen Goku on the ground completely broken and he's still talking to Gohan all the time. You could do it, Gohan.
And the next one is a RPG status condition I never thought I would ever see in my life, but here we are.
This is what I wanted to take basically in Rise of the Rulers. I wanted to go throw my brother.
Launched.
You got to be able to air combo, baby.
Launched. You have been knocked.
Reverse Gara.
You have been knocked into the air. Yeah, you have been knocked into the air. While launched, you count as flying, but cannot use any reaction abilities and take an additional damage increment from subsequent attacks. On your turn, you return to the ground and suffer no further effects.
Yeah, I love it already. That's great. There's so many examples I can think of in anime where someone's just air comboing someone disturbingly brutally. I love this. This is great.
Right. In my mind, air combos where they knock some character up, that character's flying through the air, and then the other character, who by the way can't fly, is somehow like hitting them from multiple angles. And
Rock Lee versus Gaara in original Naruto is 100% the epitome of what you just described. He can't fly, but he's just like running on walls and jumping so quick. He's hitting this dude from every angle. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best scenes.
Neuromancers. This is the Capcom edition. I'm thinking like hyper uppercut, and then like
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Where you're juggling them to keep them, bouncing and popped up, and like when you're playing Smash Brothers and you just keep somebody.
Anyways, combos.
Prone. While prone, your move distance is halved. Your ass can crawl pretty well. And you get a -1 penalty for your defense rolls. You can stand up using your move or your support action. Shaken. Your will to fight has been shaken. You suffer a -1 penalty to all posed rolls, and you can snap out of it by using a support action. And then lastly, surprised. You're caught off guard. You get a -2 penalty to all your defense rolls, and any damage dealt to you is increased as well by the increment.
Did it say earlier about like standing up as an action or something?
Prone. It says you can get up using a move action or a support action.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
That's
what I was looking for. Because I know like the move, it said that you can, if you have like 25 to 27, you have like a 9 move. So I guess that'd be later on.
Yeah.
Agility score.
Critical defense. If you succeed on a defense roll by 10 or more, the attacker becomes shaken.
That's kind of sweet.
Oh my god, that's so good. You just hit this dude, it does nothing, and they're staring at you, and you're just like, oh,
right.
I fucked up.
That's like where you have like the perfect defense in a fighting game, like cling, and it like takes them off for a second.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing.
Critical strike. If you succeed at an attack roll by 10 or more, add the attack score associated with the technique on top of its normal damage.
Okay.
So potentially adding a bunch down. All right. Overdrives. They represent your character's ability. Let me guess through resolve. No. Overdrives represent your character's ability to defy fate and overpower foes through sheer force of will. Overdrives are powerful options that become available at dramatic moments to turn the tides in the favor of the user. To use an overdrive, you must expend 3 Valor. But so long as the circumstances are right to use the overdrive, it requires no additional action expenditures.
Oh, so you could just do this like the beginning of your turn without even using your action.
So first one, burst of speed. As a free action during your turn, gain an extra move action.
Okay.
And it's a free action. So if you had enough Valor, you could burst of speed, move, attack.
But you can't go into negatives, I'm guessing. You can't spend what you don't have.
That we don't know.
We don't know that yet, because we know we can get negative, but we don't know exactly how yet.
We definitely know you can get negative. And if you go too negative, right, you get penalties to your attacks. And then -10, you're out. Yeah. Mike T. Overdrive doesn't even require a crafting check. What even is this game? It's a Pathfinder 2 Inventor joke, by the way.
Yeah, I was like, that thing Kaz played.
Yeah, that was.
Dude, I love it.
Desperate action. As a reaction to the end of a character's turn, you may take your turn immediately and then skip your next turn. So if you spend 3 Valor, you can basically take your turn right after somebody finishes their turn.
So you could, it's almost like moving in the initiative order up.
But you can move up. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
But then skip your next turn. It sounds real brutal. So this is desperate.
That way you don't get to go twice in a turn.
Yeah. Right.
But let's say, like, let me give you an example. Bob, you're going. All right. Well, Tim goes. Then the big monster, the boss. Then Tim's at the bottom. You're like, guys, don't worry. Go deal with the crystal. I'm going to take out the boss. He's really low on hit points. Bob attacks, hits him. But it's like he defends, and the guy still has like 5 hit points left. And Tim goes, desperate action, spend 3 Valor, go right after Bob goes so that I can finish off the boss.
Right.
I could see it.
Okay. And obviously if you're spending 3 Valor, you're not gonna be able to defend with your resolve, your guts, because you have to have at least 2 Valor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Determination. After you make any roll, add 5 to the roll. You can use this after you know if you would have succeeded or not.
Okay.
It's a lot. By the way, it's a D10. By the way, it's a D10 system. So
yep.
Adding 5 is what we like to call a shitload.
Well, maybe a low level.
Well, no.
Stats get up into 25, 27.
Yeah,
right?
but it doesn't make a difference because that part's static. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So it's just it's your 1 becomes a 6, right? Anyways.
Yeah, you're right.
And also, by the way, you could use this even. It says whether or not the roll succeeded, because then you could push it to a crit.
Exactly. That's kind of sweet. That part's cool.
Yeah. Exactly. Exceed limitations during your turn in combat. During your turn in combat, so long as you are not incapacitated, you recover all of your stamina, but this stamina is lost at the end of the encounter.
Kind of sweet.
Love it.
It's kind of sweet.
Love it. Like, you're definitely passing out after this fight, but you're going hard. You're going.
Indomitable. During your turn in combat, end all adverse conditions currently affecting you. This includes effects from weaken techniques, immobilization, and the seal skill. Furthermore, no effects of this type can affect you until the beginning of your next turn.
Dang, that sounds pretty strong.
So it clears you of all conditions, and then makes you immune to all conditions until your next turn.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
That's correct, Isaiah. If someone has a 9 higher bonus than you, you couldn't beat them because it's only a D10. So if they rolled a 1, they would get a 10.
Right.
Virtually.
Then I'll just determination myself.
Well, that's fine. Sudden action. As a free action that could be taken at any point in any character's turn, you could take an immediate support action. Not an attack action, not a move action, but you can support somebody. Tim, that's like what is it, Star Ocean heal while the character's falling unconscious?
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Yes.
Teamwork. After any roll an ally makes, add 3 to the roll. You can know whether or not the roll succeeded. So you can
do it for someone else.
You can do it for somebody else. It's not 5, it's 3, but you can use your Valor to help somebody else out.
That's kind of nice.
Unbreakable. During your turn in combat, you can recover 1 increment of health. That's 20% of your
20%.
health. This health is lost at the end of the encounter. It is possible to die from health loss in this manner. If you are incapacitated, recover enough health to set you at 1 full health increment. So if you get taken out, you can spend Valor, get back in the game. But then you lose at the end. So it's like old school 3rd edition Rage, Tim, where your Barbarian, because in 3rd edition, Bob, when Barbarians rage, they didn't gain temporary hit points. Their Constitution went up. And so they gained more hit points because of their Constitution. But then when their rage ended, the Constitution dropped, which means you lost those hit points. So if you were at 1 or 2 hit points, you would lose all those hit points and potentially kill yourself.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great mechanic.
Sweet.
I mean, it's very genre appropriate.
100%. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, the number of times I've seen something like, every single one of these is just on point genre appropriate for me. Like, I can easily think of a scene in an anime, multiple animes for any one of these. Well written.
And just in case it wasn't clear, dialogue. Characters are assumed to be able to talk as much as they want during a round or turn.
Yes.
This especially applies to villains who will often deliver dramatic monologues within the first round of combat. As a general rule, it requires no actions.
There you go.
Okay, so we've got cover.
I like that you could divide the speech over multiple rounds.
Absolutely. So we've got cover, we've got darkness, we've got difficult terrain, we've got dangerous terrain, very common 4th edition shit. We've got water, we've got Bob difficult water.
Difficult terrain water?
Difficult terrain water, Bob. That makes your arrows go slower because
we got Valor stealing water.
Yeah. Yes. While underwater, you lose 1 Valor instead of gaining 1 Valor each round. Interesting. And if you get to -10, you drown.
Well, that makes sense because we know you just die at -10.
No battlefield should be a flat, featureless plain. Structures and objects give definition to an area.
What are your characters going to destroy otherwise?
Exactly. In fact, they say they have 3 abilities: durability, defense, and resistance, which can determine how much punishment they can take before they are destroyed. They know what is up.
Excellent. Yep.
And you can interact. There's a whole bunch of stuff about interacting with structure and objects. Then there's a separate paragraph. When a character is launched into an object or structure via a technique, You take the damage increment of the attacking character. In addition, they do a point of durability damage to the wall, or 2 points if the character was launched by an ultimate technique.
I love it.
Destroying a structure counts as a space of movement. So this is very like MCDM, where it's like basically you could just like when you hit the wall, it slows you down some, but you could potentially keep going after that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Actually,
All Might punches a Nomu into space through domed arena. It was incredible. Stuff like that.
In Dragon Ball Z, they're always pushing or punching people through rock structures. Multiple rock structures until they hit the ground.
Pumpkin says, everyone I know hated that barbarians could potentially die from raging, but it's awesome here.
I love it in every context.
Yeah. Well, I especially love it here, because of this. Ford coming in with the big, with their third super chat, and it's a big one, $50. Not sure what the context is, but apparently this super chat goal involves something with Bob, Derek, and Delicious Dungeon, which just has to happen. Well, we are $13 away from it happening. Ford, thank you so much for that. Yes, and since you don't understand the context, it is that Bob and I will do a little watch party of some episodes of an anime that is apparently some people say it's the best D&D anime ever. Record of Lotus War would like to disagree, but Bob hasn't seen it, and I haven't seen it, and Tim hasn't seen it.
I haven't even seen the D&D anime. The D&D cartoon.
But Ford, thank you very, very, very much for that very generous super chat. And I'm pretty confident that we'll probably reach that goal because of that generous tip. So thank you so much for that.
Too. Thank you, Ford.
Okay. Challenge scenes are sort of quasi skill challenges. Some situations could be resolved with a simple roll or two, make a skill check, whatever.
Yeah, these feel very more like montage scenes almost to me. Like, you got to do a couple things, get your supplies for the run, and et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. And right on schedule, Solana comes in with their first super chat for $15 to finish it off. So Solana picking up after Ford's very, very generous $50, and furthermore, tipping onto Doc Flamingo, Save versus Damien, C-Cal, and Pepper. So we had 7 different people contribute to get the super chat goal reached. Looks like we're going to be watching some.
Ford's the Fab You buddy.
Going to be watching some anime. Well, patrons, you did it. You broke me.
We've done it.
You broke me. Okay.
This anime could be sweet. I don't know. I love watching.
All right, we'll see.
It has a weird name, but
that means nothing in anime.
That's actually true. Super true.
Anymore, because we've gone full shark on anime titles, so you just can't pay attention to them anymore.
Yeah, Isaiah. We'll probably watch I don't know, like 2 or 3 episodes worth, whatever normally fits
into.
Is it
a show or a movie?
I don't know. That's a good question. They said how many episodes or how much of it are you committed to watching? Oh, okay.
Yeah. If it's a movie, I'll watch the whole thing.
I think they're saying, are they saying like, will I tap out at 30 minutes and go, I can't do it?
You'll pot commit. It's a show. Okay.
It's a show. Okay.
I'll watch.
Yeah, we'll watch whatever, 2 hours.
Legit, I'll probably keep watching.
I'm pretty sure it's 24-minute episodes.
Yeah.
I'll watch like 3 of them.
So yeah, we'll probably watch like 3 of them or something like that. I'll give it time to breathe. And we'll stop after each one and I'll bitch endlessly. Bob, what the fuck was that? And you'll be like, it was sweet. That's what it was.
Yeah, Derek's over there like cringing. I'm like, oh my God. Again, I don't know. I don't know anything about this anime, so.
Yes.
Because when I'm watching Demon Slayer, I am like, my mouth is open half the time. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, we will probably definitely do that. We'll probably do a live watch party with the patrons. And then we'll, like I said, we'll record it. We'll edit out what we need to edit out so that we don't get, whatever.
Boothby. Yeah, I won't be able to hear it.
Boothby, thank you very much.
$5. I do not support this content, but I do support the channel.
Boothby says, I do not support this content, but I do, but I do support this channel.
That's true, Boothby.
That should be a negative tip.
He did kill someone in Alien yesterday, which is
just like.
So challenge scenes basically look like they are a form of skill challenges. Basically, they're more open-ended than combat scenes. And rather, because it says Normally, you're just going to make a couple skill checks and be on with it. But in a challenge scene, you go into initiative order. You know, Bob, it's like the intrigue scene from Legend of the Five Rings.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
It's not a combat, but you're in initiative order. You're using your resources.
Things are still happening.
Yeah, you know, things are still coming and you're still using your situation. So it could be, and they have this thing here called meters, which represents the flow of a challenge scene. You may have a number of meters present, each with a different bearing, aka these are clocks.
Clocks, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are clocks. You know, and it says some depending on the circumstance, a meter, aka a clock, might begin high and the party has to chip away with it. Another circumstance, it might appear low, it might start low and the players have to increase it. Ending a challenge scene usually involves certain central meter or a group of meters reaching their minimum or maximum value. They're dynamic, and you know, so you get these different things here. So basically, it's just a bunch of clocks.
Clocks are great.
Yeah, clocks are great. And this game came out in 2015, so I am absolutely sure that they knew about Blades in the Dark and all that other stuff. So we got some definitions here. Participants are in a scene with a flow. Blah blah blah. Let's see. So in a challenge scene, each time your turn comes up, you can make a single attempt to try to influence one of the clocks. The active participant declares not only the clock, and I'm using the term clock instead of meter, not only the clock that they are influencing, but how they are attempting to influence it. And the GM will assign bonuses or penalties depending on their tactics. So this is shades of like Legend of the Five Rings, right? Like, oh, like that's a good approach. That makes sense. I'm going to give you a bonus. Oh, that's kind of a shitty idea. Penalty.
It was well executed in L5R. So.
It was immaculately executed in L5R. Should their roll succeed, the clock moves 1 point in the intended direction. But should it fail, the clock moves 1 point in the other direction. Furthermore, for every 5 points you succeed by and for every 5 points you fail by, increase it by an additional 1 or decrease it by an additional 1. There is no limit to how much of a meter can rise or fall in any given action. So if you crushed it out of the park, you could like tick 4 clock tickets.
Sweet.
At the end of each round, you get a Valor, yada, yada, yada. During a challenge scene, participants only have one action, which can be used to make a roll against the clock. Boothby coming in. Oh, no, Mike T coming in with $10.
Tip $10. I'm tipping BC. You've already reached the D&D Super Chat goal. It's a really good show and watch it with my kids. It's a fantasy dungeon delve crossed with a cooking show. Now that I wrote that out loud, it sounds terrible, but I promise it just works.
So Mike T says, I'm tipping because you've already reached your goal, but it's a really good show, and I watch it with my kids. It's a fantasy dungeon delve crossed with a cooking show.
Oh, the delicious one is?
Yeah. Now that I wrote that out loud, it sounds terrible, but I promise it works.
Okay.
Mike T, thank you for the $10 and thank you for putting it to the tip goal. That's very nice of you. Or maybe not nice of you because that's another thing that I have to watch. All right.
Well, you like that one though.
That is true. I do like that one. But generally speaking, I don't know that anyways. Okay. Moving on. But Mike, thank you so much for that. And apparently it's kid friendly. So that's a nice step because part of my problem with anime a lot of times is I don't like how like overly sexualized and like gratuitous and like some of them are. And so
the kid-friendly ones are still like that, dude.
Oh, well.
I don't know. This one's older, so I don't know, but
right. Like, listen, if I want to get gratuitous sex and violence, I got Monster Hearts, right? I can go play Monster Hearts. Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff here about challenge actions and also the different type of things that you could do and how they might affect clocks. So this seems like it's actually pretty well designed. I don't hate it. And then there's even the idea of like, you can just, make something up and the GM can go with it and figure it out. So I really like that. Okay. So that is the how to play the game. So we've got a section here on the season. Season is the tier of power that your character has attained.
Yep.
It is,
right.
But more point to that, the purpose of a season is to encompass a single story arc and break the overarching campaign into manageable chunks. It shows the clear progression of power with mightier techniques and skills available in later seasons. All skills and techniques have a listed season. They cannot be taken before that season without the GM's approval.
Can't get your ultimate skill in season 1, people.
Season 1 is the initial season, encompassing levels 1 through 5. Character building in season 1 is built around your character's core identity. In season 2, Our characters are imbued with more strength and competence. They have access to powerful utility skills that grant them a number of powerful useful options they could not encompass. Season 3 is where they begin to make their mark on the world, and the obstacles the characters have to overcome that once struggled to overcome are now easily defeated. Flight becomes more prevalent, and the battlefield dynamics can change dramatically. And lastly, Season 4, levels 16 through 20. It is the final season where the most powerful skills are available. Characters are now among the greatest in the world, and they are able to accomplish things that only others could dream of. Season 4 is the final arc. And of course, characters should prepare to fight God in space. To defeat the last and mightiest of their foes.
I mean, to me, that is very nice. And again, D&D 4E did it as well. But like,
yeah,
I don't want to do 1 through 20 sometimes. Like, just give me these. Like, you guys, we did season 1 last year. You guys want to jump into season 2?
Yeah, but I like that though, because what you could, number one, one of the things I complain about with the adventure path model is it's not 7 adventures that take you from 1 to 20. It's really just one gigantic adventure. It's the whole thing. What you could do with this model is you could play season 1.
Yep.
And the group might say, that was a lot of fun, but I don't want to do that again.
Yep.
They might say, that was a lot of fun, and I want to do it again. But regardless, if it ends, or you might finish and say, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get back to it because that game was a lot of fun. Oh, shit, you're in the hospital. Your wife is pregnant, and now we never played again. But you can go and say, yeah, but we told a complete story. We went A to Z. It had a very defined beginning, a very defined middle, a very defined end. And sure, it wasn't, the ultimate ending, but it was a ending, I
will say, quite frankly, there are a lot of animes out there that are, God tier that are 1 season, right? Like, and just pick the season you like, right? Same thing here. Like, pick the level range, the power level you want to be, and just tell your story there.
Yeah. Because my final thought is the final line or the final sentence from the Wheel of Time series, where it says about the wind.
Be careful.
Well,
it's not through the whole Wheel of Time series yet.
It's not a spoiler anyway, but it says
they're gonna hurt my.
And
feelings.
it says the wind was not the ending, for there are no endings in the wheel, in the spinning of the Wheel of Time, but it was an ending. So it's like saying, like, you can have endings even if it's not the permanent ending. Beowulf, by the way, does say, I'm kind of over levels in games. Just give me skills and talents. Yeah,
Yep, I don't disagree.
I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with that. And, the work that Bob and I are doing with some of this Dragonbane stuff is really making me just appreciate. I mean, I already like Dragonbane, but how easy it is when you don't have to worry about, are they the right level?
Oh, that's so nice.
that is a really nice feature. Okay. Character progression. Here we go. So they do some of the math for us just in case, because everything does go up, right? Normally, but you can see here at level 1, your base health is 60. And remember, you're adding your guts, your strength and stuff. And remember, those go up as the game goes on. But at 20, it's 250. And your max attribute is 27. So let me do this right here. So if you had a 27 strength, you're adding times 5. That's 135. Then, if you had a 37 guts, that adds times 10, I think, right? Or 27.
Guts was times 10.
Sorry,
Strength
20.
was times
1,
5.
yeah, that's right. 27 times 10. So that's 270 plus 135 is 405 plus 250. You would have 655 hit points.
It's pretty good.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. And we could see how many, so we can see what our max attribute is. We can see our skill point total. We can see our technique point gain. And by the way, you can see, at level 1, we start with 12 technique points, which we can probably use to buy our initial techniques. And then each level we gain 4. But then in season 2, we gain 5 each level. And in season 3, we gain 6 each level. And then the final season, we gain 7. So
literal power creep.
Literally mechanically built in power creep. Yes.
Correct. Yes. 100%.
All right. So pretty cool here. And then we get to one of the most anime pieces of art that I've seen.
Oh my gosh. It's got like burning turkey.
Oh yeah, we got food wars. We got a little bit of everything in this picture. Kakigaguri with the gambling one has been huge. Sports. Oh yeah, this is great.
My brother's watching it's like the baseball and the volleyball animes. He said they're like super good. I'm like,
Haikyuu is the volleyball anime, and it is one of my favorite animes of all time. It's incredible.
I gotta ask, volleyball anime?
It's effectively a shonen 6v6 indoor volleyball because it's teenage boys playing volleyball, getting better at volleyball, and the spirit of competition together.
Okay, so they're just volleyball players. They're not like volleyball players who then go fight.
Nope,
like
no superpowers, but it's like, in pure anime fashion, though, it's like, a dude jumping up for a spike and there's 5 minutes of dialogue and everyone's heads about it, right? And it's like this literally happens in a quarter second. But but it's a very accurate anime. It teaches you the game. It's animated accurately to how the game is to be played. It's just one of my favorite Haikyuu.
All right. Well, there you go. And see, this is why I say I don't think anime is a genre. I don't, it's just.
No, it's a medium.
Yeah, it's a medium. That's a good way to put it. London says slice of life hype.
Yes.
And Elia says, my hot take on power creep is that it's good. Actually, it's good. Actually, it gives and provides goals and reward system knowledge. So, all right. So we're probably going to go for like another half hour or so, but I do want to kind of take a look at what we have here, and sort of understand how these skills, flaws, and techniques come in, because that was the other big part of the character sheets. So
the value is the buying? You buy it?
I don't think so. Well, maybe you're right. No. Okay. The first thing is flaws. So these give you skill points, Bob.
Oh, okay.
So for example, if you have aggravated wounds, healing techniques, not healting, I think that's a misspell. Healing techniques. I'm going to zoom in for people at home. Yeah. I got to change this up a little bit here. All right. Oh, nope. I didn't want to do that. All right, there we go. So aggravated wounds, healing techniques only heal you for half of as much, but you get +2 skill points.
Yeah, because on the next page, it just has a number, not a plus.
And then
fragile. Yikes.
Fragile. -30 / -15 health. You get +3 or +2. I think it means you have less hit points.
Oh. Well, no, it's either you get the 3 for 30 or the 2 for 15. Okay,
3 for 30. Lack of control is penalty to your stamina, which is your power resources. Malevolent entity. An evil consciousness periodically tries to take control of your character. +5. So that's like your that's your Raven.
Sukuna and Jujutsu Kaisen.
I'm thinking Teen Titans, but
Yep. Yeah, that too.
And so we can see a couple.
These weak ones at the bottom are just so in your face.
Yeah. Oh, weak-willed. -1 starting Valor. That's rough. All right. Flightless. You cannot be airborne. Impaired accuracy.
That doesn't mean you can't be thrown.
Yeah.
That's launched.
That's launched.
Very different. Very different.
Very different. Yes, very different. Okay, so we can see here that, obviously, if you've ever played a game like GURPS where you can take flaws to gain skill points, these things can sometimes be prone to min-maxing and people being cheesy. But
I mean, for sure, I would be taking Berserker, move towards and attack targets when at critical health. I mean, but I get a +5.
Right. But that means that when you're at 40% life, you have to just keep going.
Sold.
Yeah. And then we get permanent skills. So these have costs. So balance.
And they have seasons.
Okay. So right, Bob's right. So season 1, we can pick any of the things from this pool. In season 2, we can still take from the season 1 pool, but we can add the sky attack and we can pick that up. And then apparently there's nothing in season 3 that is related to skills, but in season 4, we get these additional ones. Like, for example, break Valor limit. Remember how before we could only go up to 10? Now we can go up to 20. Regeneration, recover 10 health each round. Teleportation, move freely through terrain, enemies, and obstacles. All right.
There's my jam right there. Give me that teleportation, baby.
So these are kind of, I don't know. They're not skills, right, Tim? I would say these are like feats.
Yeah, I agree. They seem very much like feats, but like toughness. These are very much feats to me.
Yeah. And by the way, good job on them. It's like to get tough, to add 30 health is 6 points, but to get the penalty is -3. So if you took both, you would just end up the same, but down 3 points. So
math is tight.
Math is tight. I mean, that's good. That's good. Okay. So now those are the permanent skills.
Right. You can always do them no matter what.
Well, I think
it's always in effect.
Yeah, it just changes. It like almost changes your character sheet, right? You know, you're adding to your stamina, you're adding to your resistance or whatever. Then there are situational skills. And again, as they are broken up by season. So these ones, like for example, bounce back. You get, remember how once you're below 0 Valor, I don't think you gain Valor anymore. Or no, I'm sorry. It's when you're once you get to -10 Valor, you don't like recover from it. Bounce back gives you an additional Valor each round when you're below 0. So
you get back positive twice as fast.
You get back so like you recover from negative twice as fast.
I like that.
I like that too. Crisis, you get a bonus to attack when you're at low health, critical health. Danger sense, you cannot be surprised. Desperation, +1 to your defense when you're again at critical health, low health.
What is this progression column? Because one of them says like this reckless attack, add +1/+1 to an attack roll, then suffer an equal penalty to all defenses there, but its progression is slow. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. So it looks like they fixed.
The descriptions seem to be lower down about what they are.
Well, we're not gonna read through all these, but needless to say, there's a lot of them.
Well, this is where the 40 pages of them go.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, those were the situational skills. Now we get to the active skills.
I'm already at overdrive skills.
So
these are the big boys.
Like for example, here we go. This is, by the way, season 1. Jump. Support action. It costs 2 stamina, right? Remember, stamina, it's not hit points, it's your power points. Support action, 2 stamina. You can attack flying enemies for the rest of your turn. So you can just and then land. So we have active skills. We have reaction skills that work on your reaction.
Fixed is how much it costs. Fixed is the same per rank. And then the others are like the first one is to purchase the first level, and then the second number is every additional level.
What is fast?
So I think that's just letting you know that it's going to level up faster because you get like 6 initially and 2 at every additional level, whereas this slow one you only get 3 initially and 2 at every additional level. Whereas fixed progression, like start just gets 5 every single level.
So you can take these multiple times?
Yeah, I think you can rank them up is the sense I'm getting, because if you scroll, like they have a page number at the end and there's a full description and all kinds of information in it.
How much is fast? You can go up every 3. You can go up every 3 levels after 1. Slow, it can go up every 5 levels for the caps. They represent the caps.
All right. Skill cost. The cost of each skill is represented by 2 numbers. Fixed skills only have 1 number. The first number is the cost to buy it initially. The second is the number it takes to level it up. For example, an attacker costs 6 points initially and 3 skill points to level up, and thus it is represented as 6/3. Okay, that makes sense. Leveling up skills. Many skills have the ability to be leveled up over time in order to increase their potency. The max level of a skill increases as a character increases in their level. There are 3 different skill leveling progressions: fixed, fast, and slow. Fixed skills do not level up at all. The maximum level of a fast skill is equal to the character's level divided by 3, and the maximum level of a slow skill is equal to the season.
Oh.
So, okay. So fixed skills don't level up.
Right. Okay.
Fast skills, the maximum level is your character level divided by 3 rounded up. So
it's a
like
tad complicated, but it's manageable.
Yeah, it's not, because I mean you're only doing it when you like level up and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's not a
I don't think it's
live
too bad.
calculation.
Yeah. Okay. So for example, if we go, and again, there are literally pages and pages and pages of these, by the way.
Oh yeah. Everything listed upstairs is like, or above upstairs, he said. Everything listed above seems to have like a full block, just like a feat would. Yeah.
So like if we look here, where I'm on page 39, skills, permanent skills. So balanced fighter is available in season 1. You're skilled at utilizing a number of attack forms and techniques. It's fixed. It costs 8, and you get a +1 to all of your all active attributes lower than your highest active attribute. So it doesn't add to your highest. It makes all your lower ones +1 better. right? But it's permanent. You can't level it up. But if we look down to the right, we have Energy Attacker, which also is available. It's 6 initially, and it increases your mind and spirit attacks by 6. But we can spend 3 more skill points to level it up by another 3. But its progression is slow, which means we couldn't level it up until we were level 6 in season 2. And then we couldn't level it to level 3 until we were in season 3, and we couldn't like level 4. All right.
Okay.
So tons
Next
of
page is the bear that I died to in Forbidden Lands. That's Smith's character.
Yeah, that's Smith's character, right? Pumpkin says, I love that the flavor text is obvious. Yes.
Well, that's 4E, right?
All right, that's very much 4E.
Did a really good job with that.
Well,
Pathfinder just failed in that.
Oh, completely failed. But not only that, the flavor text is very unflavorful to a certain extent, you know?
Yeah. There are no vertical columns of golden flame here.
Well, but it's like, it's just it. But I'm saying like it's not like it's overly flowery and like just
to the point.
You know, it's to the point. It just tells you what it is. You know, tireless. It just says you never seem to run out of stamina, right? Like in Pathfinder 2, there would be a line. It would be like a feat, and it would say you never run out of hit points. Period. And you're like, so what is this? And it's like, wait a second. So is that rules text or what? Okay, so these are all they're kind of a mix of feats and powers a little bit. But and then on page 43, we have our first overly busty piece of artwork. So
which is why she's destroying the ground.
Correct. So that was good.
That has to be in there every once in a while.
Absolutely. So again,
Pumpkin, love the art. Pumpkin's like, I just bought that book for that.
Oh, by the way, we go to page 47. We can see something that Bob would try to do, and I would yell at him.
It's like Ichigo stuff looking.
He attacks you with his greatsword. I block with my forearm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
See, I think you're missing. It looks like those prayer beads to me are what it's actually blocking with, which would be a totally legit holy relic weapon for a bald man who is obviously a monk. Thank you very much.
He's pushed back. You can see he's been pushing the earth back to slow himself. That's how strong.
Right, and the other guy is wearing a suit and Converse sneakers.
Yeah, he needs a better sword though. That's clearly why he did not slice the dude's arms
level that thing up.
It does kind of look like the Turks from Final Fantasy VII, Isaiah.
That is rude for sure.
All right, so active skills can be used in place of techniques. They require an action to activate and may also require the use of stamina. So these are a little bit more like kind of like powers, right? Like this like. All right, I'm on page 48.
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, season 1, attack node. Either through manipulating the fabric of reality or setting proxies for yourself, you can place nodes on the battlefield from which you can attack as if you were standing there. What?
Oh, okay.
So in Hunter x Hunter, this is Leorio's power. He's able to create personalized portal that only works for his fist, and it teleports his fist across the room to punch someone in the face.
That is
out of another portal.
There you go.
That is exactly what this is. And by the way, Tim, at season 3, you get the attack node network, which lets you, quote, you can strike at a target through a number of attack nodes, making it nigh impossible to dodge this attack.
Oh yeah, there are many versions of this exist. Yes.
So you can now spend points to make your attack from multiple nodes at once. So you punch through one node, and your fist apparently appears all over the battlefield.
I don't know. This is just an art thing, but like the previous art is like a PNG, and it has no border, and this next one is so blunt with its border,
with a big black border. It's not like set into the thing at all.
Yeah, and so either I feel like that needs to have its own space. Or it just needs to be, again, like a transparent background.
Pumpkin's like, Leorio's best character. And Beowulf is like, I hate this so much.
that's Derek and me.
What are you
going to do?
That's Knights of Last Call, basically.
Yeah, it's the whole community.
This is duel. You can challenge a foe to single combat. So you start fighting in the middle of a fight. Anyways, all right. So tons of...
That sounds like L5R.
That's totally legit.
Yeah, tons and tons of these skills there's a lot of them. Oh, okay. Wow, we really went over the board here. Page 63.
Oh, hold on, I didn't go that far yet.
Or it's like they're continuing to make it more and more over the top when it comes to the busty female protagonist.
Well, if I may interject one small thing, that I have seen how to draw anime character books and a lot of tutorials on it, and one of the main things they say is, hey, just remember, this person is the best looking person you've ever seen, except better at all times. That's how you draw a basic anime character.
Okay, but is it just me, or is like one of them like overlapping the other one?
Listen,
like it doesn't look like
she's got her arms crossed.
Drawn right.
Look, Pumpkin's like, look, shonen demographic is young boys and Pumpkin.
That is true.
Young boys and 40-year-olds who used to be young boys. I don't.
That's right. And Tim.
And me.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely got to get me in there.
On page 56, I was looking at the weapon this person was using. It looked like some kind of like monstrous drill.
Oh, it sure does.
With like two super skinny like posts on like, this is like an anime weapon that Derek's like feasibly doesn't work. Like,
oh, it's an enormous lance.
Right. Yeah. Right, Bob. Clearly this is the combination.
It works for me.
Clearly, Bob, this is the combination attack, allowing us to work together with our ally, making it difficult to dodge.
I mean, you saw Azius's maul. That thing was not logical. That's how I like it.
Nutrimancer's like, that's a drill lance. A drill lance, a popular anime weapon.
Oh, there you go. See, perfect.
All right,
he's not wrong.
Okay, so we've got all these skills, and by the way, just when you think you're all done with it, we get to page 66, and they go, this is designed to provide options for your typical in-game situation. However, sometimes someone may have a concept that requires something even more specialized or unique, and here's how you create a skill. So that is not an exhaustive list. So they give you details and information of how to create a custom. And you know what? I love that.
Sweet.
I mean, that's a really nice piece of game tech where they go, hey, we're going to give you a huge list. It's not the end all be all. And we're also going to teach you how to create your own skills. And I think that that's really, really smart.
I could see like Smith or Tim like instantly being like, I kind of like my character doing this thing that's sort of like this, and instantly creating it. And you'd be like,
my illusionist wizard, we created that one spell way back in the day, Whirl Till You Hurl, based on the EverQuest spell.
Based on the EverQuest spell.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was like, I love a system that is just like, hey, look, here's the math of how we did it. Get creative. Like,
Lance says Bob's character with two bows probably works in this game.
Oh, we figured out it worked in Pathfinder 1. There was like an ability or something.
Oh, there was a Pathfinder 1 that was like dual wield bows.
Yeah. I mean, look, we know it works.
So the last thing that we're going to cover with our last 20 minutes is going to be the techniques. So we're not going to be able to get into the GM stuff tonight, but that's okay. But, I mean, let's face it, this is a game that's, and there might be some really good stuff in there. So I'm not even saying that that's a loss. But again, if you're interested in this game, we do have a link in the description below. It takes you over to DriveThruRPG. You can buy it. It is kind of an expensive PDF at $25. But, it's small press, and obviously,
it's 200 pages or something.
You're supporting. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and this is very much, if you're getting it, it's because you want to support them and you like it. So,
but it's been kind of a fun read, and I'm not even into this stuff as much as other people, so it might be worth it.
It's actually is met or exceeded the expectations of when you said, I'm going to have you on for an anime stream about a TTRPG. I was like, well, this is going to be rough. Like, I have no idea what we're getting here. I'm pleasantly intrigued.
Yeah.
Josh isn't watching this, but Tabletop Josh was running Goblin Slayer. I feel like he would love this kind of system. So he might already have this, but this seems like right up his alley.
Well, if you are going to buy it, if you use our affiliate link described below or any other DriveThruRPG purchases, we get a small commission. It doesn't charge you anything extra. It actually just takes some money out of DriveThruRPG pocket and puts it into the KOLC account, which is what I use to buy PDFs like this. Yep. Okay, so techniques. Now we've got a big, huge limit thing here, and I'm going to skip it because I want to read what this is first. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to go to page 75.
I thought they should have put that at the front.
Well, I'm guessing in like the book, it's like kind of like an opening table or chapter. I don't know. That's a good point. Anyways, all right. Techniques.
Could just be referenced because they're like, well, for experienced players, here's a quick thing.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, that's something I complain a lot about. It's like, look, write the book, sure, for the new player, but realistically, the people who are playing your game are going to be playing this game for months or years.
Okay, that's fair.
You should make a nod towards the fact that most of the time when you pick up this book, you're going to be knowing what you're doing. All right.
That's fair.
Techniques: the slash of a sword, the blast of a fireball, the firing of a bullet. All these abilities are technique. Techniques represent your combat ability. They are special moves unique to your character that allow you to attack your enemy or the campaign environment. Techniques can vary from mundane to exotic. Techniques are the primary means by which you act in combat. And as you increase in power, so do they. Building a technique. So I don't think there is a necessarily, quote unquote, a list of techniques. Well, that's like the components. When first constructing a level 1 character, you start with 12 technique points, TP, which can be used to build technique. Technique points can be used to either create a new technique or increase the level of or an existing technique at the cost of 1 TP. Techniques are comprised of a core and modifiers. The core determines how the technique functions, while the modifiers give techniques more flexibility in their function. A technique level is the combined total of the core power and the modifier costs. A technique could be any level up to your character level +3. So you could start with up to a level 4 technique.
You want to talk about customization?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So step 1, concept. Building a technique is more than just designing an attack. Techniques embody the fighting style of your character. As with skills, so Tim, this is very much like Mutants and Masterminds.
Yes.
So this is how Mutants and Masterminds builds its powers. So for example, in Mutants and Masterminds, there is a power that you take called damage.
Right.
And then you can modify it with ranged damage. And then you can modify it with energy ranged damage. And now you've created Cyclops' Optic Blast.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. I love this.
So as with skills,
I mean, this isn't like something I would normally do, but if you were into like creating a customized technique, then it's pretty
so
intensive.
we'll go. Yeah. So for example, John is building techniques for his first level character, Hero. Hero is a fighter. He has high strength and spirit and is good at taking hits and dealing lots of damage. John wants to build a powerful ranged attack for Hero, so he decides to make an attack called Phoenix Flame Slash, which will unleash a blade of destructive spiritual energy at his foes.
Sweet.
All right. Step 2.
Picture of him doing it.
Yeah. Step 2, core. Since Phoenix Flame Slash is an attack ability, John opts for the damage core. So the baseline of this is just, it does damage. Step 3, determine the attribute. All techniques, even those that do not normally require a roll, must be assigned to one of the attributes. For damage, it has to go to strength, agility, mind, or spirit, right? Can't go to guts. The selected attribute determines which attack stat you would roll. This also determines which active attribute is used when you roll your attack or defend. For any other technique that isn't an attack, you can also select guts. When determining an appropriate attribute, it is important to have an idea of how attack manifests. Strength attacks, for example, are usually straightforward strikes with a blunt object or a sharp object, whereas agility attacks are often fired from a bow or bullets. Okay, so most of Hero's attacks are physical attacks, but Phoenix Flame Slash is different. It unleashes a burst of energy that travels along the ground to hit its target. Since Phoenix Flame Slash is tapping into Hero's spiritual power to launch the attack, it is instead a spiritual attack. Hey, we got a tip from Lollipop Candy.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Lollipop.
Lollipop Candy tipped $5. I support obscure system streams. I also hope we get to see people like Tim on streams/videos more. The co-LC dynamic is great.
So Lollipop shouting out the obscure system streams and enjoying having Timmy back on the stream and love seeing the dynamic between us good friends.
Yeah, hey, happy to be here.
But thank you very much for that, Lollipop. And you know what? I like having these guys on too. That was the whole reason we had the studio. Because of
exile.
And now we are in exile. So instead of using physical, this would use his spirit attack, right? Okay. And then modifiers. John wants his technique to be as powerful as possible. So he's planning on making it a level 4 technique, which is the highest he could go. He wants to give it good range. He decides that line attack, which hits every target in a straight line, is more suited to how the attack works than ranged technique. It takes 2 levels of line attack, which would ordinarily give it a line of 6 spaces. However, since this is a spirit technique, he gets a bonus to the range, and so it's a line of 7. So he basically creates a flame phoenix wake that shoots out in a 7 square line. Lastly, core power. Take the total level of the technique, subtract the level of the modifiers, and remains as the core power. 2 levels of line attack is +2 modifier. Since the technique level is 4, John decides to bring the damage core power up to 2, which gives it a base damage of 25. Pretty good. We got another tip coming in from Roman.
Roman tipped $10.
He loves the content.
Not trying to overhype delicious in dungeon, but I'd love for y'all to react to it. Try to watch to episode 6.
All right.
Episode 12 is the big tone shift.
So Roman is excited for us to watch this Delicious in the Dungeon, Bob. He's not trying to overhype it, but he's really looking forward to us to react to it.
I just never even heard of this, and it seems like so many people like this thing.
Yeah.
And
Now he does say we should try to watch episode 6, but that's a tall order, so we'll have to see.
again, if Derek might not make it, but if I like it, I'll just watch all of it.
Yeah.
It just might not be on stream with you guys.
Right. It'll just become Tim and Bob just watching anime.
Just hanging
We'll
out.
just keep going.
I'll tap out. I'll be like, look, guys, I'm gonna go talk about some obscure RPG. You guys can watch anime with these guys. Roman, yes, that sounds awesome, and thank you for the support, buddy. So techniques are. Oh, and then the last thing is you have to determine its stamina cost, which again probably determines how powerful it is. So, here we go. Limits or drawbacks that could be applied in order to make them cost less stamina. So, for example, since Phoenix Flame Slash is a level 4 damage technique, it costs 2 stamina plus 1 for each of its level. So it's 6 stamina to use this power. But John decides to put some limits on this technique since Hero kind of has low stamina and he can't afford 6 stamina to spend on his techniques. First, he decides he doesn't need to use Phoenix Slash every turn. So he puts a cooldown 1 limit on it, which brings its stamina down to 4. This is still a bit too much for John, so he decides he also doesn't think Hero can fire the attack off more than a few times in battle. He puts a level 1 ammo limit on the technique so that Hero can only use this technique 3 times per battle. This brings the stamina cost down to 1, meaning he only needs to spend 1 stamina to use it, but he can only use it 3 times in a battle, and he can never use it twice in a row.
So this how long these battles are going. Because
I don't know.
I feel like there's something like using this thing 3 times. I mean, I'm like, how long is this fight taking? If this is Pathfinder fight, we're taking an hour to fight. It's kind of hurting my brain already.
Yeah. Massive super chat coming in from John, $50. So far, I stand by my opinion that you can't make a crunchy anime game. Fiction first with loose rules is the only way to truly capture the over-the-topness of anime. Also, anime is a narrative thing, so narrative engines just make sense. And John, that's a nice tip. Thank you for that super chat. So let's take a moment real quick and let's talk about that. Now, Tim, Bob, you guys have played Powered by the Apocalypse games with me. You've played Mutants and Masterminds, Tim. You've played Fate. So you've played a lot of these, more narrative games, right? Where, it's more of a, you can use aspects, declare narrative truths, spend a hero point to, make it so that the genre is enforced.
Yep.
And this game, and I would say in GNS theory, right, that those games are very low S, but they're very high N, right? It's all about creating the story. This game is also very low S. It even says it is. But it does seem to be very much more higher towards a gamist side, right? It's got that 4th edition elements. So for you two specifically, who love the anime media format and the style and some of the genre tropes, do you think you would enjoy a more anime style game that is more like a PBTA style, Fate style, kind of like, more loosey-goosey? Or do you think you would like something that's more crunchy like this? So, Tim, I'll start with you.
I am a huge fan of, I love the 4E tactical, the crunchy. I love the idea of the combat in this, the making your own abilities, really customizing your character. It's, it's like making your own anime fight character, right? Like, you can think of it that way. But going through, like, this whole rule system, I actually think it's doing an excellent job of providing both an anime narrative framework as well as realistically any genre. Like I could apply it very easily to any genre I think of. So I think, I love it. I think the key difference for this between like this and M&M is purely like, what's your style of combat going to be for it? Is it, quick, narrative,
this
throw
is
a hero point style, or is it we're fighting to the death? Like that's gritty.
Yeah, so that's a great point.
Blow.
Yeah, that's a great point. So you're getting into your anime fight. Okay, I don't know what anime this is, right? But it's
right.
Let's say we were using this to play Dragon Ball Z or something equivalent. Do you want your Dragon Ball Z game to be grid based and counting squares and take an hour or an hour and a half? Or do you want it to be 15 minutes, theater of the mind, explosions, people go sailing all over the place, rubble falls apart, he stands up, he grabs the boulder, he throws it at you, defy danger, okay, roll, right? Which of those feels more anime to you? I don't have a horse in this race, so.
Yeah, I think anime battles last a while.
So you're saying that it taking 90 minutes is actually a genre
probably
trope.
Right, probably correct.
Look, it took 10 episodes just for Vegeta to finish powering up. So it's the last.
What's Avatar like? Is that more PvP? See, that's like
Avatar the RPG is a PBTA game.
So I like the way they did it, where you got into combat, but the flavor of your attack was sort of it's bounded by hypothetically your element that you're choosing, but your imagination was what you kind of did. I feel like that would be better for something that me personally would want to play, because I'm limited by my imagination, but I have sort of boundaries, but it seems simple enough where I can go. This was pretty simple until we got to the skills, the techniques, and it really took a big upgrade on probably my mental tax that I probably couldn't keep up with it.
So let's talk about that, Bob, because I agree with what Tim said earlier. If I put this system in front of Tim or Aaron, they are immediately going to start using this to plug and play in their favorite video game, their favorite MMOs, their favorite TV shows, their favorite anime, and they are going to immediately start building out powers and skills that fit that genre and fit that trope. This game does not have a list of, here's a list of powers that you can choose from. And you're basically having to create them kind of from whole cloth.
Which is fine.
Now, for those guys, that's like, yeah, this is awesome. And obviously it's going to mean that character creation takes a while too. But do you think you would enjoy that? Or do you feel like you'd be like, this is too much. I don't even
probably
care.
9 times out of 10, I'd probably say no. Like every once in a while, like I like building monsters and I like building weapons and stuff like that and feats and stuff in other games. So part of me says I would probably like it, but at the same time, this seems like part of the game as you're building these techniques. So it might become overkill for me in this specific game, but in general, I think it's pretty cool that it's here. I just don't know if I would enjoy it all the time, but once in a while, that sounds pretty cool.
I mean, I'm in a not all the time with the crunch for me thing. Like a lot of the time when I do think of this kind of genre or anime as a medium, it's like I like the idea of making my own abilities like Eminem would offer, but I don't need to deal 872 damage to anything, to feel good about it. Like I'm happy to say I punched this dude and he launched into space and it was awesome.
Right. I mean, because it's very clear to me. I mean, the game obviously is inspired. There's a very tactical element to this. The game was very upfront about that. It said, you will need a battle grid for this. This is not a theater of the mind game. I mean, so this is very much, to me, feels like it is a tactical anime combat game.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have a robust support for the quote unquote challenge mode where you're attacking, but even that is you're attacking these clocks. You're dealing with these different clocks. It's still a very mechanical game. You're just doing it with all the tropes and the trappings of, the classic shonen type style of play. And by the way, to that point, if we go to page 69, we can see the base core techniques that everything is built off of, right? Which is barrier, boost, damage, healing, mimic, summoning, and weaken. And weakening gives them flaws. Boost gives them skills, aka buffs and debuffs. Damage does damage. Barrier is a defensive structure, healing is healing, and then summoning and mimic kind of do what they say at the core. But you can see below that the ultimate technique cores, and the first is transformation. Transforms the user, increasing health, abilities, and bestowing skills. So I'm assuming that is their version of a Super Saiyan for sure.
Horizon.
All right, you guys won't be able to hear it, but the people at home will. So.
If you guys have fun with that audio clip, watch him do it without the audio.
Right.
Because we just see Derek just doing this.
And of course,
complete silence.
Right. And of course, the copywritten one that no one ever gets to hear because we got copywritten from it.
From the episode.
Well, there's the Inner Radiance torrent, but I did it over this like obscure Swedish death metal band's rock music, and they copyright claimed it. So anytime I would play that clip, that video, even that clip in the middle of an otherwise 3-hour long live stream, that video would get copyright claimed by this Swedish death metal band. And even it's just like in the background, it's just like and it's me going Inner Radiance. All right. So, anyways, so clearly this game, is leaning towards that end. So,
but I would try it. This seems like it'd be fun. Like I think it'd be fun. I just don't know if I could. Leveling up in Pathfinder was there's a ton of erasing and a ton of just grinding to do that and a ton of memorizing. You would definitely need cards for this, I think, for your skills and abilities.
I agree. I think a lot of the more I think about it, a lot of the overhead I do think is outside of session time.
Correct.
So, I mean, that does help, the game itself. I think for me, like, if you can, because a lot of this is like leveling up and making an ability. You're not doing that at the table.
Oh yeah. If you told me that we leveled up during the game, I'd be like, all right, we'll see you next week.
Well,
yeah,
also,
100%.
I mean, let's compare this game, right, to the sort of elephant in the room. Obviously it's a much later developed elephant, but let's compare this to our darling Fabula Ultima. Okay,
Howard says that it has a character builder and a Roll20 app or 20 sheet if it that helps.
So when we think about Fabula Ultima, right, which is obviously still somewhat anime inspired, although it is very clearly more tied to the JRPG. But Emmanuel even says in the back, I mean, there's a whole list here of anime, that they Castle in the Sky, Danmachi, Dungeon Food, Fairy Tale, Full Metal Alchemist, Inuyasha, Mushishi, Nausicaa, Radiant, Record of Lodoss War, Spice, so there's very clearly an anime influence here. But let's compare those two.
Sword Art Online is super good.
Okay. In Fabula Ultima, when you get down to 0 hit points, right, the player decides sacrifice or surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's a narrative game where when you go down to 0 hit points, the player decides, is this the moment I want my character to go out? And when you do, it's not, oh, you die, it's you sacrifice, which is the idea that you get to go out with a bang, right? And you get to do some big major thing, and then your character is killed. Whereas when you go to 0, you could also decide, I want to surrender. You cannot kill my character here. Sure, the city we're defending might fall, or I might lose my father's ancestral sword, or the gem necklace that my elven wife gave me shatters, but the story will continue. This game very clearly was like, if you're dead, you're dead, and resurrection magic isn't really even a thing. So there's like there's sort of sometimes a weird Mark's Mayhem says Dungeon Food is the Japanese name of Delicious in Dungeon. So he actually was coding that game.
Okay.
So there's a part of me where I go, this is where like the genre emulation runs into the gamist tropes, right? Mm-hmm. Because this game wants you to care about what techniques you have because it wants you to want to win. It's putting a kind of competition mindset into the game because it's saying like you need to build your characters and they need to be badasses so that they can beat the foes and you don't die so that you can continue the story. But then when you do die, it's like, okay, well, making a new character is going to be a real pain in the ass and there's going to be a lot of work involved and it could happen because it's just a random dice rolls. Now, we haven't played the game, so I don't know about this. But when I look at a game like Fabula Ultima and I look at it's like, hey, we're trying to tell stories here and we're trying to enforce these genres and emulation. Yeah, death can kind of fuck with that. So here's sacrifice, surrender. And I think that to me seems like a more elegant solution, Jay points out, though you aren't dead at 0 here, you do have to go to negative your starting hit points, which does seem like a lot. Jay, you're absolutely right, especially since we saw negative 900 or 900 hit points or whatever, 750 hit points for Bob. But I will say that when you're down, I think the attacks just automatically hit you and you take, and the damage can be pretty significant. So I imagine it could still be very, very possible. And Jay, you can die at negative 10 Valor.
Well, you become incapacitated. I don't think you die.
Oh, you become incapacitated. Okay. So, yeah.
You might look at
Jay, you might be right
on page 93.
You might be right, Jay. All right, 93.
Seems just right up your alley.
Is this the wizard yelling at the rock that is picking a gigantic dandelion?
Of course it is. It just seems like something you'd be like, what the F is this?
I mean, listen,
It's an unstable summon. You summoned it, and it's
yeah,
like flowers more than you.
Look,
That's,
I mean, it's very clearly the summon has a mind of its own. I summoned the gigantic rock monster to crush my enemies and see them driven before me, and it decided to go pick flowers. I mean,
I love it. I think it's hilarious.
So whenever you attempt to command a summon, roll a d10. If the result is less than or equal to the limit level, the summon remains stationary and refuses to act. Well, but this is how you make those things cheaper and more affordable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, John, I understand at a fundamental level what you're talking about. I think more than on the balance, John, I probably agree with you. I'll say that. But I'm not the person that's trying to emulate the anime genre is not, or media form is not for me. So, I'm always kind of torn for that. But I mean, like these games are always very weird because I could tell you that when you play these, I mean, this is a classic example. I remember playing Mutants and Masterminds once. Tim, you would have been in this season because it was with Smith playing the Lake Erie monster. So this was this was Shadowfang, and the party of it, the superheroes, had a dimension spaceship called the Nexus, which they used to go on extraplanar adventures and travel to other planets. And there was an episode or whatever, I don't exactly remember what was happening, but the core was going to explode, right? And Aaron's character, who is like a mix of the Hulk plus the Beast, so he was like this really scary monster that was really smart. So Bruce Banner, Hulk / Beast. He like rushes to the core to try to disarm it and disable it. You know, and I'm thinking, oh, this is gonna be a cool moment. He's got really high computers or really high engineering skill. He's gonna roll really high. And he rolled really badly. So he spent a hero point, got to re-roll it, and rolled really badly. And it put me in this weird moment because I was like, nobody at this table, not me, the GM, and not the player, wants this to be a moment where they fail. And the game, as good as Mutants Masterminds is still fundamentally a D20 3rd edition engine game, OGL. So when you roll low, you fail. When you roll high, you pass. And like we were at this weird moment where we're like, nobody wants this to happen, but we also don't want to fudge. And the game rules seem to be fucking over what we're trying to do. And that's one of the reasons why I really like Powered by the Apocalypse. Because when you roll low in a Powered by the Apocalypse game, it's not that you fail, it's that the GM just gets to decide what happens. And I could decide, you realize you can overload the core, Liam, but to do so, you're going to have to expose yourself to the raw energy of the Nexus. And it's like, oh, what is it? We'll, and then it's like, oh, he's lost to time, right? He got shifted in through space and time. And now there's the next episode is back in the Old West, and Liam is somehow a gunfighter in the Old West. Anyway, my point is, we can keep the story going. So, all right, well, overall verdict on Valor, Bob.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I think I would try it out. Like I would play the sample campaign with like a pre-gen character and try out. I think the D10 seems a little wonky, but like I think it could play very fun. And I think you could have a lot of fun with trying to say what you're doing. Like I'm blocking with the prayer beads, like, and going back and have a lot of fun with what you're saying.
Sure.
You're doing what you built your character to be. And then it can really get into like another level of complexity, which I probably wouldn't get into. Would be like getting all these techniques and stuff like that, like building out your character. I know there's some people that really like that. For me, it's probably too complicated. But I think it works as a game, and I think it'd be kind of interesting to play. I just don't know if I'd want to keep grinding at it for a long time or not. Maybe I'd fall in love with it. I don't know. I'd rather play FabView.
Tim.
Yeah, so I mean, we've played games where the whole party can wipe and they just end for decades now. I'm no stranger to it, so I'm like that's not necessarily a deterrent for me. I can see why. But
imagine you're watching an anime and you're really loving it, and like season 1 ended really awesome, and you're really like you love the characters, and there's this really awesome character, and season 2 starts, and they're going up against this like living techno virus, and then everybody dies and the anime ends.
Cyberpunk?
That would be a bad story experience, but what are you and your friends at the table for? Like,
that's
storytelling time, or
that's true.
And I see this very much as that as soon as you introduce that element of crunchy and death, you are changing the tone of your game to one where failure is a real possibility. and you have to make that decision going into it. Is that your thing? I think you could, you might have to go out of your way to house rule this system if you didn't want failure to be a possibility, but you have to make that narrative decision right at the beginning as to, for this, if this is the system for you, you have to make that choice.
That's well said, Tim. That's well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, John, I think, you said, why not just throw an anime theme on 5e or PF2? Because the thing is those mechanics in those games do not allow you to do the stuff that this is trying to let you do, because it's not just about emulating the story, John. It's about emulating the mechanical feel, right? Like one of my favorite quotes, our buddy Larry, who's also an anime fan. We were getting into this debate once when he lived with me during the pandemic. And I needed a roommate because I wasn't working because my business had been shut down and I was a failure. Anyways, and we're talking about it, and he's talking about like the story, the balance, and he only played 3rd edition. He stopped playing before we got to 4th edition, and he never came back and played with us. So he only really played with us for 3rd edition D&D. And I was saying, but Larry, you have all these rules. Like, if what you're saying is right, then you need all these rules. You don't want these rules because you like to be super powerful. He goes, no. I want there to be rules. I want there to be balance. So that everybody else is there, and then I'm way above that, and that way I can just crush the other things below me, And I was like, he's like, I want there to be a system so that I can break it and exploit it and be like, look how much my numbers are compared to your numbers, you weakling.
Yeah. And John, to your point about like, I don't see how the mechanical feel is, even a thing in anime. I agree with you. I think they're going out of their way to create this option. I think it is against the theme of anime and it's over the top and narrative and cinematic. But this is like, if you want to take it to the solo leveling, you guys are in very real danger, but you're getting stronger type thing, you lean towards this kind of system. But but it didn't exist. I've never seen one this crunchy, right? So correct. I think they're just creating a gap that they saw, and I like it. I like the idea, but I agree, it's not really like, it's not directly anime, really. Since it's very cinematic for anime.
Right. No, that's okay. I mean, I was gonna say, for all I know, there's a thing in the GM's guide section. Because here's why I'm actually saying this. Because I always have this fear, and I know this is a Derek Melinda problem. And for Tim and Bob, I'll promise we'll wrap up here. The game goes, your players are coming here because they want to play anime. And here are all these amazing techniques. And your players are going to spend time figuring out those techniques, and they're going to build them. And then they're going to take these little modifiers. They're like, oh, I'm going to have -1 to my defense so that I can get +1 to my strength because I want to be able to hit people even harder. And and again, we're not getting into the GM section, but so often in these games, they have something in the beginning where they say, Valor, this is from the beginning of the game, Valor, that's the name of the game system, places a much higher emphasis on playing the role of the character than on the whim of the dice. While these rules perform the framework of the game, they're not absolute. The GM is free to make something happen that isn't codified in the rules and encouraged to think of ways for players to do things that aren't codified in the rules. Great. But there's a danger here when the mechanics lead to an outcome, and a lot of times the GM advice is basically, just look the other way, just fudge, this is how you get these horrible 5e advices where they say like the key to making a good fight in 5e is let everybody get 1 or 2 hits in, and then when somebody lands a cool critical hit, say, oh, and it's dead, instead of tracking its hit points.
That sounds awful.
But that's how but if assuming the players had no idea that was happening, that is how you would create, quote, the best fight experience for them. If it was a TV show, you'd be like, wow, every character kind of got to do something, and he had a little bit of a contribution to that fight, and then the one character landed the big crit, and that ended it, and it's like, wow, that felt really satisfying. And, a lot of these 5e advice is, and by the way, I don't think this is a knock on 5e, because it could very easily be advice that someone would give for Pathfinder 2nd edition, and I would still say it's terrible advice, because you could play Pathfinder 2nd edition, it's like, Mike, what did your character accomplish this fight? Nothing. I got webbed in the corner at the beginning of the fight, and I spent
You're really talking about me.
Yeah, I'm talking about Bob. And you're like, so it's
Where
like,
this is going.
yeah. So you could have that experience in a Pathfinder 2. And so
Terrible.
I see, yes, exactly, Jay. Jay got it correct. It's not a knock on 5e. It's just a knock on all 5e content creators. Because that advice is terrible, because what they're actually describing is they want to be playing Fate, or they want to be playing Powered by the Apocalypse. So if you're going to play this kind of game, then I think, Tim is right. Like, you have to understand that this isn't just the anime genre in that sense, because if what people want is, we're going to fight really hard and then we're always going to pull it out and friendship is going to save the day and we're going to make it to the end and beat God in space, then this game might not be the right game, because this game does preclude the possibility that you all just fail and die ignominiously in the middle of season 2. And if you're okay with that and you enjoy the element that brings of uncertainty, and it makes you feel like, wow, I really do need to knuckle down, pay attention, build a badass character, I can't just lollygag around because I gotta win. Then that is its own form of enjoyment. That's that competition-based play. That's that challenge-based play, instead of just collaboration and storytelling. So anyways, yeah, I gotta say this. Take this for what it's worth. I would be interested to make a character in this. Now, I don't know all the anime tropes, so I don't know that I would actually want to play this on any lengthy period of time. But like Bob, I think that there's enough knobs and dials and little
Seems
fidgets.
fun.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if I can make a level 1 character who can summon a wave of destructive spiritual energy in the wake of a phoenix that shoots out in a line and strikes all the enemies in the path, and I'm doing that at level 1, and it can cost me from this rechargeable stamina resource pool point, I'm in for that. That sounds awesome. That sounds way better than, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a different tone. It's not grimdark. This game, you're not worried about your torches. You're not worried about your encumbrance. You'll note we didn't see any rules for that.
Right. Yeah. Is there even an inventory? I doubt it.
I doubt it. Right. So
if you have something, you just have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think again, it's a first look. I don't like to give like reviews, but I think there's enough there that I think it's interesting.
I think so too. Like I said, I was much more impressed than I thought going into it that I was going to be. I still think it's a tad complicated for me, but I think overall it seems kind of fun. I think people could have fun with it.
Yeah, let's see. Do they have like a GM?
No water pressure rules.
Right, no water. Actually, they did have drowning rules, so
there's drowning rules.
Let's see. Thank you. 180.
I need a scene where we just eat copious amount. Well, I guess they challenge some copious amounts of like ramen or something, and then we would know if this is true anime.
I thought there was supposed to be implied that there was a thank you page, but I don't seem to see it. So
thought it was page 180 something.
I did. I went there and it wasn't
184.
Yeah, I thought you had it up before.
184 is the character sheets.
Yeah.
What?
Because I wanted to see like if they said anything about. Oh, here it is. Thank you. It's just a list of probably patrons or Kickstarters. So I was just seeing if they had like an acknowledgement and said like, oh, like we took inspiration from this game. We took inspiration from this game. But okay. All right. Well,
that's what I liked about Fab U. Like when it listed all that, you kind of got a really good feel about what you were getting into.
Yes. London says anime characters don't depressurize like little bitches.
That's kind of
accurate.
That's kind of good.
Pumpkin says it's like if I wanted to play.
They hold their nose next. Sorry.
Pumpkin says it's like if I wanted to play 4th edition, but even more anime.
There you go.
Yes.
What were you saying, Tim?
Forgot.
Okay, good.
Not a big deal.
And Alia says, I am pleasantly surprised by this game for all the reasons that others are disappointed in it. And Pumpkin says, it looks really good, but I don't know if I want all that crunch at this moment. I mean, I am definitely on an anti-crunch kick right now. Bob, I think you're kind of the same.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're playing Dragon Bane
for a few years.
You're playing like 5 Free League games, and like, right? I mean, you're playing Dragon Bane.
Is freeing.
You're playing Aliens. You're playing Coriolis.
Yep.
You're playing Forbidden Lands
and
Dragon Bane. And was there a 5th one? No, just the 4.
No, I have one that I was going to run as Electric State.
Got it.
I haven't run.
And you're going to be playing in a Fabulous Ultimate game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I played Vaesen recently. That's right.
There you go. There you go. So there you go. GM Scott. So that's 5 free league games. So obviously we are sort of on a, but and to be fair, I'll be the first to admit, completely reactionary, right? I spent 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, pretty much just playing Pathfinder 2, mostly. Whether it was I was running the game or we were playing in Smith's game or whatever. Pathfinder 2 is a very mechanical, crunchy game, lots of knobs and levers and moving parts. And so you get burned down on that. And you're like, I want to go to a faster style of play game. I don't want to worry about minis and maps and, counting squares. I just want to have fun and kick ass and take names and, or get real grim and gritty with it and worry about how much wood we were going to have for our. But by the way, Bob, they did get.
I was going to take that offline. I was going to ask about how Forbidden Lands went this last session.
It went much better than last time. Let's put it this way. And they were able to get the wall up. They were able to
get back from flying on the Griffin.
It went really well. He did give up the Elfstone gem.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He gave it to the dwarves.
We risked our lives for that thing.
Well. He felt it was safer with them in some ways and maybe more.
He's probably not wrong.
Yeah, he's probably not wrong. But anyways, thanks everybody for having just an incredible turnout tonight. Just big shout out real quick again to John for the very generous super chat. Thank you, John. We got tips from Roman, from Lollipop, from Mike T, from Boothby, because he didn't want to watch this, but thank you, Boothby. We got a super chat from Solana, which originally put us over our original goal. $50 super chat from Ford as well. So thank you to that very generous super chat as well. $10 tip from Anonymous, aka Ben Asaro, coming in and supporting us despite being busy. And again, I'm going to put a link to his Final Fantasy XIV TTRPG blog post if you want to take a look at that. And then Doc Flamingo had a $2 super chat. Thank you. Save Versus super chats. Damien, super chat. C-Cal, super chat, $25. Thank you so much. And Pepper started us off with $5. And we finish with one from our good friend London. London, the Moonlight Master himself. The Master by Moonlight. Thank you, London, for that. Thanks, Bob. And thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Tom. And then on my behalf, thank you, patrons. But thank you, Bob. Thank you, Tim, for hanging out with me tonight. I think this was a lot more fun with your guys here. It probably would have been much more. To be fair, it probably would have been much more negative and me being a curmudgeon if it was just me. So I think you guys helped, balance the yin to my yang, and it should be good. So all of us, plus Smith, are going to be back Tuesday. Because we're going to be playing some more EverQuest as we continue Knights in Exile. We're going to keep doing that pretty much until we end up going to Origins. So we've got a couple weeks of streams here, and then we're going to be off for pretty much a whole week because I'm going to see. I'm going to go to a Cleveland Guardians baseball game with Steven Glicker from Roll for Combat. He's flying into town. He's going to hang out with me. We're going to go catch a ball game. Then we're all going to be driving down to Origins. We're going to be at Origins for 5 days. It's going to be a blast. Bob's coming, Smith's coming, Tim, our buddy George might stop by. It's going to be a blast. We're looking forward to seeing at least 10 or 15 patrons, and who knows who else. Maybe some fans. You're more than welcome to, if you see us, to just hang out and chill out. We're not anybody special, so but we'd love to talk RPGs and gaming with you. Tiger Eyes finishes us off with a $2 chat. Says cheers. Well, Tiger Eyes, I can't think of a better way to do it. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. And
last.
All right, never mind, Tiger Eyes. You got fucked.
Stream snipe, sucker.
You got stream snipe, sucker. Elio, $2 says, fun stream. Love the guest shows. Yeah, I do too. And again, one of the things I'm looking forward to, by the way, as it was kind of in the context of this, is Pathfinder 2 this summer. He's finally releasing Core 2. Maybe we'll get it beforehand, but I don't think we will because they hate us. But I do once that
would require me to reach out to them.
So one of the, we've heard from the PaizoCon that like they are really doing a good reworking of like the champion, the witch, the champion, the alchemist, and the oracle. And I really do want to spend some time.
He got her.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Well played.
Well played. Well played. All right. Well, we'll end the stream right there before anybody else can take Tiger Eyes. But yeah, we're looking forward later this summer to doing some more Pathfinder 2 content because I am really legitimately interested in what they're going to do. And my hope is to get a bunch of patron guests on. That's where I was going with this.
Sure.
Because they know the game way better than me. They're going to be playing our Northern Reaches game. They're playing our Path Builder Extreme games. They're playing their own personal homebrew. Boothby just finished a 2.5 year long Discord run, Strange Aeons 1 to 20 campaign. So, and that was run entirely with the patrons from the Patreon, and it was just run by a patron. So, just an incredible experience. And I highly recommend, if you're not a member of our Patreon, to join us, especially since if you want to see the full, unedited, complete live, not worry about copyright strike version of Bob and Derek watching Delicious in Dungeons, that's going to be the place to do it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for that last little bit. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Bob. And on behalf of everybody over here, we'll see you next time on Knights of Last Call. Peace out.